Mrs. Gates, it's nice to be home.
Let me take your basket for you, madam.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, dear, I hope I've got everything on that list.
Did you manage to get the anchovies, madam?
Oh, dear. I knew I'd forget something. I'm so sorry. I'm afraid Mrs. Shepherd in that village shop.
Oh, I know, madam, I know. It's surprising anyone manages to get served at all in that shop these days, isn't it? I expect they were chattering about that new lady that's come to live in Mrs. Sandham's old cottage. Oh, caused quite a stir. Very well-dressed lady. In fact, she's that smart, madam, she stands out a mile round here. Well, so Mrs. Shepherd says.
Hello, Mummy.
Hello, darling.
Did you get my library book?
Yes, there you are.
Oh, thank you. Who is Mrs. Gates talking about?
I really don't know. But to attract such attention, she must be quite a remarkable woman.
You may be right, Doctor. A village like Winchley may turn out to be worse than London, but I doubt it. Living in London was made impossible for me. I had to get away.
Well, it would take you time to adjust to your new surroundings, so take it easy for a while. Don't rush things.
But I'm not really ill, am I?
No, nervous exhaustion is a physical state, not a disease, but it can be unpleasant. So you'll have to rest. Shut your mind off if you can. Relax.
I think I'll be all right. But I'm glad to have found such a very nice doctor. No, really, it does help a lot.
Miss Bourne.
Hello. I've never seen this place so crowded.
Well, may I introduce you to Mrs. Earnshaw, Miss Bourne?
How do you do?
Hello.
Miss Bourne lives in Winchley at Larkfield Manor.
Oh, yeah. Oh, what a beautiful old house that is. I've walked past it a few times.
Are you on your own?
Yes, I just came in for a cup of tea.
Well, won't you join us?
Do you mind? This place is so crowded.
Please sit with us. I'd love to hear more about your house. I've admired it so much.
You're sure I'm not forcing myself?
No, not at all. Do you know Mrs. Sandham's cottage? That's where I'm living. I've rented it while I look round for something more permanent.
Yes, I know it quite well. It's a charming little place.
Yes, I suppose it is little.
Well, everything is little in Winchley.
So Dr. Harrington was saying.
Except a summer like this. Hasn't it been lovely this week? I wish it would go on forever.
Well, the farmers will be glad of it.
Daddy is as pleased as Punch. I've never seen him spend so much time out on the land. Seems to have made him younger.
Well, I must leave you now, ladies. I've got calls to make. It was nice to see you, Miss Bourne.
I'm not driving you away, am I?
No. I must go. Excuse me. I'll pay the bill on my way out. Mrs. Earnshaw, I'll look in and see you on Thursday.
Make it about coffee time, then we can have another chat. And you've been most helpful. I do appreciate it.
Well, see you again, Miss Bourne. Regards to the family. Excuse me.
What a very nice young man.
Yes, isn't he?
Here you are, my dearie.
Oh, thank you, Nanny.
Here you are. Now, don't you stay up too long, young lady. We're past your bedtime.
Oh, Nanny.
What are you doing still up?
Drinking some cocoa. It's hot like the weather. I can't sleep.
Don't think I'll be able to either.
What's the matter?
Don't be nosy.
You know, you've changed. Since I've been away, you've changed quite a lot. Can't you feel it? You even look different.
I'm growing old. Well, sometimes I think I'll be an old maid, left on the shelf.
I wonder if that's better than marrying the wrong person.
What do you mean?
Oh, you know. Think of the people who are stuck with each other because they married too soon, or because everyone else did, or some silly reason.
Oh.
What did you think I meant?
Nothing.
Funny, nothing. I think I know why you've changed. I reckon you're in love or something.
Am I now?
Well, I'm going back to bed, if that's all right with you.
Yes. Night-night. Sweet dreams.
Night-night.
Oh, Brian. Damn it all.
All right, Ed. I'll take it. Which day, Ed? Commander Bourne speaking? Yes. Would you hold on? Is Elizabeth upstairs?
Hey, I think she is. I'll call her. Elizabeth?
Yes, coming.
She'll be down in a moment.
Telephone, dear.
Mrs. Earnshaw, for you.
Oh, thank you, Daddy. Hello? Yes, I'd love to. I'm coming to the village anyway. In about an hour. I look forward to seeing you again. Goodbye.
Do you want a cigarette?
Oh, no, thank you. Do you know, the last time I was here was years ago. I think I was about 7. We were singing Christmas carols, and old Mrs. Sandham invited us in.
Well, this is jolly having you round. Except for Dr. Harrington, I haven't had a single visitor since I came to Winchley. But that's how I wanted it.
Are you very ill?
I have recently been through a difficult time. Yes, shall we say a trying time. It just used me up. It drained me, that's all.
May I know what happened? I don't mind if it's a secret or you just rather not talk about it.
To most people, I wouldn't. Do you know, I feel I can trust you. I should talk to someone. It might stop me getting so lonely, stuck away here.
You must miss London dreadfully.
No, it's not London that I miss. 6 months ago, I was divorced by my husband.
Oh, dear.
He's a very well-known man, a professor at Oxford.
Oh, who? I was up studying medicine at LMH.
Oh, were you?
Yes.
Then you might have heard of Bernard Earnshaw. He was in the inner circle of the Liberal Party. Oh, our breakup caused quite a scandal both in and outside the university.
I see. Did you say he divorced you?
Yes. The law considered me the guilty party. You're far too good-mannered to ask why, so I'll tell you. I fell in love with another man. I had an affair with him, and in time I will marry him. Does that sound very shocking to you? Do you want to leave now?
Oh, no, no.
You wouldn't be the first. Living in London was made impossible for me. It's a very strange experience being ostracized, sort of outcast.
I don't suppose you could help it. I mean, falling in love.
Do you think so? It would be nice to think that someone understood that. I wonder why you do. Excuse me.
Good morning. Oh, hello, Miss Bourne. I saw your car outside. I thought it was you.
We all meet again. Coffee, Doctor?
Well, not for me, I'm afraid. I can't stay too long.
I'll just pop into the kitchen and make some for us.
Wasn't it nice of her to ask me?
Yes. I'm glad to see that you're getting on with Mrs. Earnshaw.
Oh, she's very charming.
Well, she needs friends badly.
She's got you.
Oh, I'm just the doctor from Holbury.
A doctor can be a wonderful friend, surely.
Well, within limits, but it's being accepted in the village and understood. I mean, that's what she needs most. I mean, I can restore her health, but you can help to restore her self-confidence.
Oh,
Well, by seeing her and listening to her. And not backing away from a woman whose only sin, it seems, was to love someone she shouldn't love.
which is my sin? Ours.
Here we are. Now, Doctor, what interesting pills have you brought me today? Shortly there'll be pills for everything. Is there a pill for inducing amnesia? I wish there were. What fun it is having you both here. I'm starting to enjoy my retreat from the world. Oh, I shall have to watch that. I have no intention of becoming a 20th century nun. Of course, you both know a lot about medicine. Plenty to talk about. Now, that's the most important thing of all, being able to talk between yourselves. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm chattering away here.
Oh, not at all. You have a talk with Liz. I'm sorry I can't stay for coffee. But here's the medicine I promised you.
Oh, thank you.
You know, you look much better. Well, goodbye. See you again, Liz.
I haven't frightened you away, have I? Oh, please stay.
Oh, I'd love to, but I've got a call to make the other side of Holbury. Bye.
Liz, wouldn't it help if you told me all about it? From the beginning.
Can I have a puff?
If you like.
Ooh, it's not up to much, is it? I suppose you have to stick at it. I've tried it before, in Munich. It's supposed to be good for your nerves. Perhaps we haven't got any nerves, or enough of them.
I've invited her over for tea.
You brave thing, when?
Tomorrow.
Did you ask Mummy?
I'm well past the age when I have to ask for permission to invite my friends home. I thought we'd have tea in here with Nanny.
Have you asked Nanny?
She'll say yes, out of curiosity.
Then you're only brave enough to get past Mummy. Daddy would be furious if he knew she was a guilty woman or anything like that.
She's my friend. Daddy must have had friends in the Navy whose lives hadn't been exactly perfect. He may understand.
Yes, but Daddy's a justice of the peace. He has to keep up appearances.
Stop being so horribly conventional. Being divorced isn't a crime. She couldn't help what happened to her. I'd have expected you to be more sympathetic, at least.
Oh, I am. Liz, may I come to tea too? I'd like to meet her.
I was hoping you'd ask me that. Yes, of course you can.
If we have any trouble with Mummy, you could say we both invited her if it'll help.
Oh, thanks. I just have to keep our fingers crossed that they stay out on the farm all afternoon. I wouldn't like to risk an awkward... Rachel is a very sensitive woman.
I bet her husband was a brute.
No, he wasn't. She says he was inadequate. You know the sort. Couldn't make up his mind about anything. A hoverer, that's what she called him. It sounds rather wet to me. This other man, Raymond, well, he swept her off her feet. She didn't know what was happening. And the next minute, there she was, in love.
Oh. It would have been better if he had been a brute. Maybe he's only an old ditherer. It's not half as good.
I think what Rachel meant was that he was a ditherer in politics. He bumbled along and never really believed in anything. Couldn't make up his mind. Lots of professors are like that. They see all the alternatives at once and can't choose.
Raymond could, though. He knew what he wanted.
Yes, it sounds like it. He's the type of man who, if he knows what he wants, he goes out and he gets it.
And her husband was a good deal older than her, you said. I still can't help feeling sorry for him. Well, sometimes I find it difficult to make up my mind, don't you? Ah, there you are, Mrs. Gates. Could we have some more hot water, please?
Very well, miss.
And a few more chocolate biscuits, if there are any. Would you mind?
All right, you go back to your tea. I'll bring them up for
Thank
you,
you.
miss.
So there's another sister?
Yes, Anne. She's away visiting in Wiltshire.
3 of you. You must have had some problems.
Oh, they were good children, most of the time. And they're not too old now for me to give them a good talking to if the need arises.
Now, Nanny, you know we always did what we were told.
Oh, that's your story. I can tell you, Mrs. Earnshaw, these girls were a handful. Oh, but I wouldn't have had it any other way. You can be too perfect, you know.
That's very true. We all of us need room to breathe.
And to kick over the traces if need be. You see some of those children nowadays, all done up and tidy. You don't know whether they're dolls or human beings. Well, I didn't have that problem with these girls.
I never knew you were a revolutionary, Nanny.
Well, neither I am. I just know what's healthy and what's not.
Oh, this is such a beautiful house. I love it. As soon as you step inside the door, you can sense warmth. It's a very friendly place.
So many of our ancestors have lived here. We think somebody died tragically. A love story. But we never dug anything up. Actually, we invented a few ghosts, but they never caught on.
No, this is far too happy a house to have ghosts.
They could be happy ghosts. Why not? I think some ghosts just live amongst people so much that they don't get noticed. They're part of the furniture.
You should hear some of Daddy's stories from the Navy. Sailors are terribly superstitious. He won't admit it, but he is as well.
I've never seen the commander lift up a knife if he dropped one on the dining room floor. I've noticed that.
What does that mean?
Oh, bad luck. He leaves it to Mrs. Gates.
Nice to be in the shade again. I think I'd take a bath. Would you like a long, cool drink?
I would love one. Oh, you did some good work today. If only weather like this could be guaranteed every summer.
Oh, well, that might take the fun out of it.
Make the farm a damn sight more profitable.
I'm going to see if Mrs. Gates has made some barley water. Where would you like it?
Anywhere. I want to do some casting while the details are still fresh in my mind. Oh, dear.
Arthur?
So, you know, I think I might risk increasing the herd, you know, if the price of milk holds up. I wish I was good at this kind of thing.
Arthur, Mrs. Gates says that Liz and Vicky are having tea upstairs with Nanny and a visitor. That's strange. I think I'd better go and investigate.
Oh, don't worry, dear. Sorry, probably one of the Dawson children.
No, it's not. It's that lady I was telling you about. The one who's come to live in old Mrs. Sandham's cottage. Mrs. Gates can't stop talking about her. What do they think they're doing up there? She must have come to call on us.
Darling, I'm trying to add this up.
Oh, it's very naughty of Liz.
Look, if she called while we were out, she's quite right to offer a tea.
Yes, but not in the schoolroom.
Well, I think I ought to be going. Thank you, Nanny, for such a lovely afternoon. It's been a pleasure to meet you. And you, Vicky.
Would you like me to drive you home in my car?
Well, I had a nice walk coming here, but it is a bit far. Thank you. I'm afraid my shoes aren't very sensible. I must buy some strong walking shoes.
I hope you'll come again soon.
That's very kind of you. I'm hoping you'll visit me at my little cottage.
Well, Vicky, help Nanny with the tea things.
Oh, no, it's all right, dear. Don't bother. Mrs. Gates will come up on it later.
Oh, it's all right, Nanny. I'm going downstairs anyway.
Off you go, Vicky. Goodbye, Mrs.
Goodbye.
Earnshaw. Go along, dearie. You go along for the ride.
You can spare the time.
Oh, yes, of course.
Very kind of you.
Look, you're back. Mrs. Earnshaw, this is my mother and father.
How do you do?
How do you do?
How do you do? I hear you have been having tea in the schoolroom. I'm so sorry we weren't in.
No, it was delightful, really. We've spent the whole afternoon talking about ghosts.
Oh, no, that would be Vicky, huh?
Well, have you got time to sit with us?
Is that all right? Yes, certainly.
Would you like some barley water?
Oh, no, thank you. No, we've had the most enormous tea upstairs.
Mrs. Earnshaw's just moved into the village, Mummy. She's living in Mrs. Sandham's cottage.
Yes, well, so I heard. It's a nice old place, isn't it? Yes, we often visited it when Mrs. Sandham lived there.
But how do you find Winchley, Mrs. Earnshaw?
Well, I haven't settled down yet. I don't know many people, and it's so different from London.
Yes, I'm afraid I can't get on with London myself, you know. A week down there is just about as much as I can stand. This weather, it must be stifling.
I think I'll be far happier here once I get used to it. It was fortunate that I met Elizabeth in Holbury shopping. She was the first person I'd spoken to, apart from shopkeepers, the doctor.
Well, we must see more of you, Mrs. Earnshaw.
Do call me Rachel, please.
Oh, yes, of course.
Now I really must be going. How very nice to meet both of you. Elizabeth has very kindly offered me a lift home in her car.
That's splendid.
Goodbye.
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 Thank you. This is kind.
That's all right, Rachel. Mind the boots.
Well,
Well, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's her.
Well, they don't know, that's certain. Ooh, they'd never allow her to set foot in this house if they thought she'd been involved in carryings on like that.
There's only a photograph in the newspaper, but well, you don't forget a face like hers. She's a very striking-looking woman, don't you think?
Oh, aye. Striking's the word by the sound of her. What are you going to do about it, Nanny?
Well, it's the girls I'm worried about. If it is her, the commander wouldn't want his daughters to get mixed up with the likes of her. I'll need to find that old Sunday newspaper. I've got them all in that cupboard there, every single copy. And then what?
You'll have to tell the commander.
I suppose you're right. Oh, you know, somehow I hope I'm wrong. She seems a nice person. No side to her. Well, not that you can see.
Well, I'll take this lot down.
I'm sorry, Commander. I just don't like coming here and telling tales, but I'm not sure what she wants here. She's a lot older than Elizabeth. Oh, I'm not saying the girls shouldn't have friends older than themselves.
all right, man. You did the right thing.
Well, you're not going to look at the paper. It's all over the front page.
Yes, I suppose I must. Have you spoken to Elizabeth about this?
Oh, no, not a word. Will you tell Mrs. Bourne?
Yes, of course.
You see, somebody else in the village might recognise her and remember the case.
All right, Annie. Oh, and I'd be obliged if you didn't mention this to Mrs. Gates or anyone else.
Oh, no. Oh, whatever you say. It's a pity. Oh, she seemed to me a very pleasant kind of a woman. At first sight, anyway. Good night, my dearie. Good night,
Night,
Mrs.
Nanny.
Bourne.
Good night, Nanny.
Elizabeth, could I have a word with you, dear? In the study. Helen, I think you'd better hear this as well. Liz knows, I think. I know that look, Liz. It concerns her new acquaintance, Mrs. Earnshaw.
My friend, Daddy. She is my friend.
Is she? Oh, very well. We'll call her that for the moment. Now, do sit down, both of you.
Will someone tell me what all this is about?
Yes, I will. Daddy is about to be very old-fashioned.
Mrs. Earnshaw was divorced 6 months ago in rather scandalous circumstances.
We all know that love is scandalous.
Now, don't be silly, Liz, because it doesn't mean anything. Now, am I to presume that Mrs. Earnshaw told you the whole story?
Yes.
All right, then that does her some credit. But do you mean to say that you are not shocked by a woman who is caught bathing in the Serpentine, 3 o'clock in the morning, with a man who is not her husband, and both of them naked? Well, I see Mrs. Earnshaw stopped short of the whole story.
Well, would you have understood anything anyway? Now, both of you are going to judge her by what you read in the Sunday newspapers. I've often heard you say that the Sunday newspapers are full of lies, gossip, and sensationalism. But all of a sudden, they tell the truth. I don't care if she bathed naked in the fountains of Trafalgar Square. It's ridiculous and unimportant.
It may be ridiculous, Liz, but it is not unimportant. Now, do you mean to say that she is justified in having an affair with another man behind her husband's back?
She couldn't help it.
Oh, my goodness, I wish I had £1 for every time I've heard that excuse.
Darling, did you know what sort of a woman you were inviting into our house?
Oh, Mummy, she hasn't got the plague. People get divorced every day. Some marriages just don't work out.
Now, Liz, don't argue. We have to decide what we're going to do. You should never have invited this woman here in the first place. You created an extremely embarrassing situation for all of us.
How did you find out?
Nanny recognized her face. Well, she keeps all the newspapers. There it is, if you want to see it.
Well, this means that Mrs. Gates knows, which means that the whole village will know by tomorrow.
Very embarrassing.
Elizabeth, now, what do you suggest we do about it?
No one is asking you to do anything about it. Rachel can live where she likes, and I can be friends with whom I like.
Darling, you're not being very helpful. You know this is a difficult situation.
Only because you want to make it one.
All right. Now, you're far too young to be mixed up with a woman like this. And you are to stop seeing her. Now, do you understand that?
I will not. She's my friend, and I'll see her when I like. If you want to be a prude and ignore her, then go ahead. But you're not going to bully me into doing something that would hurt her. And dropping her all of a sudden would be very hurtful. I simply won't do it. I happen to like her very much. I'm going to bed now if you don't mind. I'm tired.
There's nothing shock the younger generation nowadays.
There's precious little, it seems.
Nanny, how did you... Here, let me read you this bit in my book. It's really terrific.
Vicky, would it shock you very much if I told you that Rachel was divorced by her husband for having a lover?
No, I don't think so. Why?
Have you ever been in bathing with nothing on? I want an honest answer.
What a funny question. Well, in the bath.
But the idea doesn't shock you.
What is all this? I say, was Rachel divorced for doing something like that? There's a divorce in this book, but it's not as exciting as the real thing.
You don't mind? You're not disgusted? You talk to her again?
Oh, yes, definitely. But I'm not sure she'd want to talk about it. Well, people don't, do they? All the exciting things sort of don't get mentioned.
Daddy's found out, and we've had a terrible row. I'm not giving in.
Has he told you never to see her again?
Yes, he has, and I won't accept it. Oh, Daddy's got no imagination at all. He thinks the world is perfect, and it's not. There's plenty of injustice in the world. It seems to me the courts are run to protect people with power, like Rachel's husband. She never had a chance.
But Liz, she did actually run away with another man. Well, that's true, isn't it?
Well, maybe. But circumstances alter cases.
Good morning, Nanny.
Oh, it's you, Annie. Come in, dear.
Oh, Mrs. Bourne said you were running short of biscuits up here, so I brought you up a fresh tin. And there's some fruit for you from the garden.
Oh, yeah, put it down there, just anywhere.
I didn't get a wink of sleep last night after what you told me about that woman. Oh, it really upset me.
Oh, but you'll keep it to yourself, Annie, won't you?
Me? Oh, I've said nothing, no. Well, only to Fred, and he'll not let on.
You see, we don't want it all round the village, the kind of woman she is, not with Miss Elizabeth being so friendly with her, you know. Oh, it's disgusting.
Oh, I think Miss Elizabeth's just sorry for her, Nanny. Not really friendly.
Well, I'm not so sure. She may have invited the woman to tea in my schoolroom out of a kindness of heart. And I'm not saying Mrs. Earnshaw's not a very nice person to talk to. But she's not respectable. And that's an end to it. At least I hope it is. We don't want her kind in this house again, ever.
Richie Aid, Commander Bourne speaking. Liz. Yes. Would you hold on for a moment? I'll call her. It's your friend, Mrs. Earnshaw. Now, you remember what I said? It's up to you.
Hello, Rachel. Oh, yes, of course. I'll come at once. Sorry to disturb you. I've got to go over to Rachel's urgently. Will you tell Mummy I've had to go out?
Yes, certainly. It's very kind of you to think of her. May I ask what the trouble is?
Yes. She's very upset. One could guess of 1,000 reasons. Have you said anything?
Elizabeth, I'm not in the habit of spreading gossip round the village. Now, if you must go, then you better go. There we are. You'll feel better in a few moments.
Thank you.
Ah, that'll be Miss Bourne.
What's happened? Thank you for coming so quickly. You look terrible. What is it? They've taken my son from me. That swine refuses to let me see him again. I've a right to see him.
Now, don't get so excited. Let the sedative calm you down.
They can't do that, can they?
The court gave Professor Earnshaw custody. Access is completely up to him. He's going to an American university for 3 years.
I'll follow them. I'll get the house next door. Oh, my God. What am I going to do? He'll turn Teddy against me.
What does the solicitor say?
He's doing his best, but there's not much hope of stopping it.
He's done this deliberately. I can't afford to go to America. I hate him. That boy is mine.
Don't get overwrought. This is awful.
Oh, no. You'll forget I exist. And Bernard will marry again. And some other woman will take my place. Oh, I couldn't stand that. I wanted...
Oh, don't talk like that.
Don't worry. She'll be unconscious now for a little while. Here, let's cover her up with this. I'm afraid she's paying a heavy price.
Yes. She's being horribly punished.
I mean, I feel so helpless. There's no one to call on, no friends, no relatives.
The only person she would want to be here is Raymond, and he's in Rome, she says. I don't know his address.
Her boyfriend?
He's a little more serious than that.
I can't leave her here like this. She needs someone to stay with her, preferably a friend, someone who understands the situation.
I'll stay.
Well, won't your parents object?
Why should they?
Well, Rachel Earnshaw is a stranger to them, an unknown quantity.
Not to me.
Well, do your parents trust your judgment of people?
I am 21. I trust Rachel.
But she's a woman of the world. I mean, she's lived. You're so young
And sheltered. Look, Brian, stop trying to protect me. I know what I'm doing.
Do you?
Yes, I do. I'll go home, get my overnight things, and come straight back.
Thank you.
Where are you going with that, darling?
Mummy, I don't want to argue with you.
We're not arguing.
Rachel's had a nervous breakdown. There's no one else to look after her.
Is that where you're going? To her cottage?
Now, don't interfere, Vicky. This has nothing to do with you.
Yes, it has. I know, Rachel. I know what's going on.
Do you mean to say that there's no one else who can take care of this woman?
If you call her this woman again, I shall scream. How dare you?
Oh, I'm sorry. That was rude of me.
Hey, Elizabeth, you leaving home?
It appears that Mrs. Earnshaw's had a nervous breakdown and requires Liz to nurse her.
She received some terrible news this morning about her son.
Oh, dear. What was it?
She may never see him again, and I must go.
Wait a moment, Liz.
Helen,
You can't...
Helen, let her go.
Are you sure this is wise?
Well, it might stop Liz from going to extremes of rebellion. Take the wind out of her sails. Oh, I don't see what we've got to lose.
Isn't it rather like approving the woman's behaviour?
Oh, dear, I don't think an invitation to dinner means we condone adultery. Or bathing in the Serpentine. Besides, I'm thinking beyond there. Now, we are merely going to be polite. I'll ask Gates to drop that into the cottage tomorrow.
Well, if she does accept, I hope she doesn't stay too late.
She hasn't been very well. Unlikely to stay very long. Oh, come on, Helen. Give it a chance. Now, I promise you this. It won't do any harm, and it might bring Liz to her senses. In fact, the more I think about it, the more I think it's a very good idea. Now, you coming up?
Yes. Oh, I better start thinking about what to wear. I'm sure she'll arrive in something quite devastating. I can tell you, I'm not looking forward to it one little bit. I shall be glad when Wednesday's over.
No, don't turn it off. I came in to listen.
But Dr. Harrington said you were to stay in bed for at least 48 hours.
Oh, I couldn't sleep. His sleeping pills don't seem to work on me.
I'll make you a cup of tea. No, that might keep you awake.
I'd rather just sit here and talk to you. I find you a very restful person to be with. People said that to you before.
Not in my family.
Did you get into a lot of trouble?
It's not their fault. They forget how old I am.
They don't like me.
That doesn't really come into it. I must tell you, Nanny remembered you from a picture in the newspaper. She found a copy and showed it to my father. You know, the Serpentine and everything.
Oh.
I know it's silly.
Oh, that must have made their hair stand on end. Oh, Nanny, eh? Yes, I noticed her looking at me very closely. No wonder they didn't want you to come here and take care of me.
They accepted it in the end. They had to, because I just came.
They'll probably fumigate you when you get back.
Oh, no, they're not like that, honestly. It's just that sometimes they don't think.
I wish I could do that. You tell them about Brian.
No, I couldn't. Please, Rachel, never say anything to anyone, promise.
No, I won't. It's just that I've been in the same position, in reverse. It's a rotten way to live your life, all that deception. Will you play cards with me?
Well, I hope the commander knows what he's doing. I never thought he'd go this far to please you, Elizabeth. You realise he's doing this for you, don't you?
She's only coming to dinner, Nanny. Not moving in permanently. Besides, she's never done anyone any harm at Larkfield.
Well, that remains to be seen. And is she fully recovered now?
Yes. She had an awful time. It took a week.
It's just as well you were there, Liz.
Maybe. I'll reserve my judgment on that as well. Well, I must say you both look very pretty.
Thank you, Nanny.
I'm quite nervous, aren't you, Liz?
Not at all. What is there to be nervous about?
Daddy, Mummy, everything. They wouldn't be rude to her, would they, Nanny?
What an idea. Your father and mother rude to anyone at their own table. Never even crossed their minds.
Come on, Vicky, we ought to go down.
We'll tell you how everything went tomorrow.
Good
night, Nanny.
Night, Nanny.
Good night, dearies.
It may be an interesting old house, but it's the very devil to maintain, isn't it, Helen?
Yes, would you like your coffee black?
Oh, yes, please.
Now, I suppose I can't be objective about it, you know. Being born and bred here, it's home, not architecture. Oh, you have a brandy, Mrs. Earnshaw?
Oh, yes, I will.
Why don't you come and sit here?
My husband, my former husband, had quite a passion for old buildings. He used to go on tours of cathedral towns, castles, or anything as long as it was old. I became quite involved myself, and I went with him on one or two expeditions.
Well, is he an architect?
No. He's a don at Oxford, history.
Oh, I was in New College, no read law. Goodness gracious, that seems centuries ago. No, Helen, we must go back there. I enjoyed that enormously, you know. Yeah, well, so did you, didn't you, Ray?
Yes, it's changed. There's been a lot of building round the outskirts, some of it very ugly indeed.
Oh, that must have upset your former husband.
Yes, he went on about it at great length.
Oh, well, I'm afraid I'm inclined to agree with him, you know. Thank you, Liz. All change is not for the best.
You don't like change, Commander?
Well, it depends on what you lose in the process.
Sometimes it may be necessary to lose everything. You can't always play safe.
Well, I think as far as people are concerned, one's own family in particular, it's a wise move to play safe.
And in politics, must we always live in the past?
Oh, no, I think that's a little different. Although, my word, you can learn from the past.
You may agree with me, well, at least in this. You see, I feel that we have no leaders, no men of vision. Well, where are they going to come from?
They'll come forward when we need them.
Heaven and Mr. Baldwin will provide. Oh, really, Commander?
All right, Mrs. Earnshaw. I'm an old stick in the mud. Oh, my children often think so on occasion. But I do care. More than anything, I think I care for good sense in government. That is regardless of party. I think the country comes first.
Exactly. Now, it must be the focus, but it isn't. Labour, Liberal, Conservative, they're none of them truly national parties, not in principle. You see, I believe that unless we find a new way, a new authoritarian party with new ideas, well, Britain is going to become a second-rate power.
Well, I can't see that happening. You know. Don't you think with the three parties we have enough shades of political opinion to satisfy everyone? Without going out on a limb?
Commander, we have 4 parties. You've forgotten the British Union of Fascists. Or don't you think they're worth considering seriously?
Well, to be honest, I haven't followed their activities too closely. I mean, apart from 1 or 2 reports about rowdy meetings.
They are the only national party which puts Great Britain first. Now, with some of the absolutely brilliant men they've got, we could build a strong government who could smash the communists. Oh, you would be surprised how far those people have infiltrated even the cabinet.
Absolutely agree with you about communism, Mrs. Earnshaw. Can't be so sure about the cabinet. I think that's a little bit far-fetched.
Look how the police defend them. They let them get away with murder. A friend of mine, a man I love, and I respect him for his ideals and his courage. He is at this moment languishing in Brixton prison.
Well, the filthy Jews and communists who beat him up, they are walking about London free to do whatever they like. Now, that's wrong, Commander. That is terribly wrong. That man is a patriot. In my eyes, he's been victimized. He's been horribly persecuted. Raymond works for the good of his country, and what happens to him? He's thrown in prison for 2 years on some trumped-up charge. 2 years of his life wasted. The government must change its attitude towards the party. Thousands of people sympathize with us now. Now, if we can only get the support of men like yourself, Commander, it would mean so much. We must get Raymond out, you see. We must.
Raymond?
Raymond not in Rome?
Of course he's not in Rome. He's in prison. I'm so sorry. I got carried away.
Vicky, why don't you play us something nice on the piano?
Yes, go on, Vicky.
Vicky, why don't you play the Horsed Vessel in honour of Mrs. Earnshaw?
I'd rather not, Daddy.
Yes, do. I can sing the words.
Do you know them? The last time I heard that was before I came home. Some S.A. brown shirts belonging to the Nazi party dragged 3 Jews off a tram and kicked them while they were lying on the pavement. When they went away, they started to sing the Horsed Vessel.
I'd better be going.
Yes, it is getting rather late.
No, please don't get up. I'll see myself out. It was very kind of you to invite me here. Goodbye, Elizabeth. Goodbye. I make no apologies for Raymond, you know. He's quite right. And as you'll find out, we shall win in the end, with or without your help.
Was it a good concert, Grandpa?
Oh, it was most enjoyable. You know, really Malvern is a wonderful setting for a music festival. I'm so grateful to Ambrose Major for persuading me to come.
Will you go again tomorrow?
Ah, there. It's Elga, Dream of Gerontius. Now, Ambrose is sending a car for me at 11, and I shall be there late, so I won't be in to dinner.
Well, it's Liz's turn to cook tomorrow, so you're probably wise. Oh, thank you very much.
Well, I think you're all doing splendidly. I just hope that poor Mrs. Gates won't find her kitchen in the most awful mess when she comes back from, where was it?
Oh, Morecambe Bay. They go there every year. You know, the parents were worried about whether you would be looked after properly. They seem to think we're completely incapable. We had to prove to them that we are reasonably responsible.
And domesticated.
Well, I think you're all doing very well so far. In fact, I would go so far as to say, and you mustn't quote me, that I'm really rather glad of your parents' absence in Scotland, because it means that I get the attention of 3 charming young ladies all to myself, and I do appreciate it, I assure you.
Have another cup of tea, Grandpa.
Yes, thank you, I believe I will, Liz.
Vicky, I forgot. There was a letter for you in this afternoon's post. I put it over there.
Oh, you might have told me.
I'm getting the tea ready.
Well, and who's to be cooked tonight?
Me. I'm going to make a cheese souffle.
Well, isn't that rather ambitious?
Oh, I don't know. I've never tried it before.
Oh, dear.
It can't be that difficult. It's only eggs and a filling, isn't it? I'll manage. Honestly, I don't know why people make such a fuss about doing without servants. I think it's rather fun doing everything for ourselves.
Except scrubbing floors, that's awful.
What? You've been scrubbing the floors as well?
Well, we did the kitchen yesterday, and the pantry passage. Nanny made us.
Ah.
Who's the letter from, Vicky? Anyone exciting?
It's from Klaus.
Von Heinig? What's he writing to you for?
Why shouldn't he? Look, I think I'll do those beams for you, Anne. They're in the kitchen, aren't they?
Well, I want to catch up on some reading, so if nobody minds, I think I'll retire to the study. I'll see you all later, my dears.
Bye, Grandpa. Vicky's being very secretive. I wonder what Klaus wants.
It's funny, I'm sure the letter didn't come from Germany.
What do you mean?
Well, I think it had an English stamp on.
From Klaus? I'm going to talk to her. I'll take the tea things through.
Ooh.
Oh, Liz.
Yes?
A souffle isn't all that difficult, is it?
Not if you're careful. Don't worry, I'll give you a hand.
Thanks a lot, baby. You don't have to do those yet.
It's all right.
What's Klaus doing in England?
How did you know?
Liz noticed the stamp. Well, let me have a read. Come on. After all, I know him as well as you do.
No, you don't.
Of course I do. I spent a whole year in Germany before you ever went there.
Yes, but that was ages ago, when Klaus was younger. It's different now.
Well, what's that got to do with it? What's the great secret, anyway?
Oh, go on then.
Mein Liebchen. I say, he's quite keen, isn't he? What does mein Schatz mean? I've forgotten.
My treasure. He's just being polite.
He doesn't need to be that polite. Oh, how exciting! He wants to come and stay.
Yes.
Well, that's marvellous. Why don't you invite him for the weekend?
Well, don't be silly. I can't do that. Not with Mummy and Daddy away and us doing all the cooking.
Why not? All the more reason. It'd be fun.
Anyway, Grandpa would never allow it.
Why on earth not?
Because it wouldn't be right. Having a young man in the house without a chaperone.
Oh, yes, of course. How dreary. Well, Nanny could be chaperone.
She'd never agree.
No, I suppose she wouldn't. What a bore. Poor old you. That's miserable for you. I expect you would have liked to have seen him.
Yes, it would have been nice.
Or perhaps he could come for the day.
All the way from London?
No, I suppose not. Well, there must be some way around it. Some way around what? Well, Klaus wants to come and stay and see Vicky.
Oh, Vicky, how lovely.
Well, we haven't got a chaperone. I can be chaperone. No, you can't. You're not married. It's got to be a married woman.
Oh, well, it can't be helped. I talk so much about home when I'm in Munich. I'd love him to have seen it.
Now, wait a minute, let's just think. The problem is you need a chaperone, right?
Not only that, Mrs. Gates is away.
Oh, that's not a problem. We can manage the house all right.
So
It seems quite simple to me. We ask Klaus and someone else, a married woman, to be chaperone.
Like who? I must know someone.
It's a pity Aunt Phyllis isn't married.
What about Mrs. Lansdowne?
Oh, no.
Was she?
Well, she's a friend of Mummy's, or more an acquaintance, really. I don't think Mummy likes her very much, but she's awfully respectable.
She's ghastly. I couldn't stand it. She'd ruin the whole weekend. I think that's a terrible idea.
Well, you think of someone, then.
Well, there is a woman I've met a few times. I met her at the Russells, and I met her at Lady Bolton's, too. She's a widow. At least I think she is. Well, she's certainly been married at least once.
What's her name?
Mrs. Walden. Daphne Walden.
Would you know her well? I mean, wouldn't she think it a bit odd suddenly being invited down here?
No, I don't think so. You see, I remember her telling me she spent part of her childhood somewhere near here. Well, Stratton Thursley, I think. Well, she might be quite glad to come back.
Well, if you think so.
Well, it's worth a try, isn't it? Besides, she's a very entertaining woman, and she'd be the perfect chaperone because she isn't the least bit stuffy. And she wouldn't stop us from having fun. In fact, she'd probably join in.
Well, let's settle for her then. If she can come, that is.
Well, I'll get the number from Mary Russell and telephone her tonight.
There's only one problem.
What's that?
Grandpa. We really ought to ask him first.
Why? It's our house, not his.
Yes, but he's staying here.
Oh, we don't have to get his permission, do we?
Yes, I think we do.
Oh, that's stupid. It's nothing to do with him.
Well, but he is sort of looking after us.
No, he's not. We're looking after him.
Yes, but he is our grandfather. And he's sort of responsible, so we must ask him.
He's bound to disapprove.
Why?
Let's just wait and see, shall we? I think it's best if one of us puts it to him, so leave it to me. I'll talk to him tonight after dinner. Oh, thank you, Grandpa. Yes, not the best meal I've had.
Well, I must say that was very commendable for a first effort. Of course, I know that soufflés are not supposed to be wet in the middle, but I really do think it tasted delicious.
Thank you very much, Grandpa. Next time I'll remember to leave it in the oven a little longer. Well, if nobody minds, I think I've got some letters to write upstairs.
Oh, yes, there was something I wanted to ask Nanny. I wonder if she's finished supper.
Oh, are you all going to leave me?
Oh, no. Grandpa, I'm going to stay.
Oh, good.
See you later, then. It won't be long.
Grandpa, can I get you anything? A glass of brandy?
No, thank you, my dear.
Grandpa,
Yes, Liz.
there's something I wanted to ask you about.
Hmm?
Well, you know Vicky's letter this afternoon from Klaus von Heinig?
Yes.
Well, it turns out that he's in London at the moment, and Vicky would very much like to ask him to stay for the weekend. Of course, we realise it would be impossible without a chaperone, but if we were to ask someone else, a married woman, who could act as a chaperone, would it be all right with you? Well, of course, we realise it would have to be someone respectable and responsible. Anne knows this woman in London, a Mrs. Walden, who will be just right. It's not as if she'll have to do anything, really. Just be here for appearances.
Yes, quite.
So, may we ask them? I mean, do you approve?
Oh, I see. You want my permission?
Yes.
Well,
We'll take on all the responsibility for the cooking and the cleaning and everything. We'd enjoy it.
it'd be very hard work.
We could manage. Please, Grandpa. Vicky wants to see Klaus so much. I think it's very important to her.
Well, in principle, the idea seems quite possible. But I would hate to think of people being in this house of whom your mother wouldn't approve. As long as they don't fall into that category, I think you could invite who you like. Of course, you'd have to promise me to conduct yourselves at all times as if your parents were present. I mean, I wouldn't like them to think that I'd let you take advantage of their absence to arrange an orgy.
Grandpa, as if we would. Anyway, orgies are boring.
Really?
All the ones I've been to.
Oh. Well, I wouldn't know, of course. Ah, no. You're all grown up and responsible. You know how to behave. I know I can trust you. You invite whom you like, and good luck to you.
Oh, Grandpa. You're an angel.
No, not at all. I only hope your friends won't be put off by the presence of an old fuddy-duddy like me.
Nonsense, Grandpa. You'll be the liveliest of us all.
She can come. She sounded quite pleased.
Oh, good.
It was very funny. I don't think she remembered who I was at first, but it was all right as soon as I reminded her.
I think she must have been having a party. There was an awful lot of noise in the background.
You explained about Klaus, didn't you?
Oh, yes. She thought it was a great joke. Her being a chaperone. She said it would be a new experience and she was flattered to be asked.
Well, I'd better telephone Klaus at the Hyde Park Hotel. It'd be awful if he couldn't come after all this trouble.
Don't worry, he'll come. Oh, there is one other thing. Mrs. Walden. Daphne. She asked me to call her Daphne. She's bringing someone with her. Well, she asked, and I couldn't very well refuse.
Well, someone? What sort of someone?
A young man. He's called, Leonard Barnett. She said he hadn't been well and the country air would do him good.
But who is he?
I don't know. She just said he was a friend.
Oh, well, if you said he can come, he'll just have to come. I hope he isn't awful.
I'm sure he won't be. Not if he's a friend of Daphne's. He'll be all right.
This weekend it is developing into a regular little house party. Perhaps we should invite a few more people and turn it into the real thing.
Why not? A house party of our own. What an amazing idea.
Well, there's no reason why we shouldn't.
What are you talking about?
Well, we'd only need to ask a couple more people, men preferably, just to make the numbers up.
Yes, because if Vicky's got Klaus and Daphne's got her young man, then it's just somebody for you and somebody for me.
You're mad, both of you. We couldn't possibly have a house party, not with Mummy and Daddy and the Gates away. How on earth would we manage?
Oh, it would be all right. After all, there are 3 of us. We ought to be able to do something between us.
Yes, and Grandpa did say that as long as they were suitable, we could ask anyone we liked.
I think it's a marvellous idea. After all, we ought to take advantage of the parents' absence somehow.
Well, I think it's a terrible idea. It's going to be difficult enough as it is without asking more people.
Well, listen, Vic, it wouldn't really make that much more work. Well, in fact, in some ways it'd be easier. Because the more people there are, the less likely they'd notice if we had to slip away to make a lunch or something.
And think how much nicer it would be to have Klaus all to yourself, instead of having to share him with Liz and me.
But it is your weekend. So if you don't want us to ask anyone else...
Of course we won't.
No, let's do it. After all, a few more people can't make much difference.
Well done. You've made the right decision there, my girl. Now, down to business. Liz, who will you invite?
I don't think I'll ask anyone to stay. Well, most of the people I know are away at the moment. But I thought I might ask Dr. Harrington for dinner on Saturday night, just to make the numbers up.
Absolutely. Good idea. Why not?
Are you sure you can't find anyone else to stay?
Well, it's a bad time of year, holidays and all that. And anyway, one of us has got to keep a free hand to keep things running smoothly.
I think it's a very nice idea to invite Dr. Harrington to dinner. Oh, perhaps we should ask him to stay.
I don't think so. What about you?
Well, I don't know, really.
What about Michael Sherwood?
Oh, no. Anyways, he's in Switzerland studying philosophy, and he's been here before officially. I want someone more exciting.
Like who?
I don't know. I'll think of someone.
Good. So, that's Mrs. Whatsit and her young man, Vicky and Klaus, me and Dr. Harrington, Anne and her guest. That's 8.
And
Good.
Grandpa, don't leave him out.
Oh, Grandpa, I'd forgotten about him.
We really ought to invite someone for him.
Yes, someone who'd occupy him, take him over, so that we wouldn't have to worry about him.
Otherwise he's going to sit about and get in the way.
Oh.
Well, you know what I mean. You wouldn't exactly have chosen to invite him, would you?
There must be someone who he knows and likes, and who wouldn't mind spending a weekend in the country.
Preferably someone who doesn't mind cooking and making beds.
And giving us a hand with the washing up as well.
Oh, Phyllis!
The universal
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh, would she come, though?
Oh, of course she would. She'd be glad of the excuse to get away. Apparently it's sweltering in
Well,
London.
she's just the person we need. She'll take care of Grandpa beautifully.
Well, it's all fixed then.
So can I telephone Klaus now?
Yes, go on.
And tell him if he doesn't come, he'll have to spend the whole weekend up in the schoolroom with Nanny. So he's got to come.
Come in.
Nanny.
Oh, Vicky.
I brought Klaus up to meet you.
Oh, Mr. Van Heining.
I'm so pleased to make your acquaintance, Miss Benson.
And it's very, very nice to meet you after all this time. We've heard such a lot about you from Vicky and from Anne too, of course.
And I've heard much about you, and of this house, which I'm so pleased to see at last. I'm only sorry to have missed Commander and Mrs. Bourne. I would very much like to have met them also.
One, they'll be sorry to have missed you too. But never mind, I'm sure the girls will look after you very well.
I expect so.
Oh, you're here. Liz told me you'd arrived. Guten Tag, Klaus. Es ist sehr schön, dich einmal wieder zu sehen. There. Well, Vicky told me you'd changed, and she's right. I wouldn't have recognized you.
Oh, but you are beautiful as ever and changed very little.
How was your journey?
Oh, very good, thank you. I had no problems.
Have you shown him his room and everything?
Yes, we're in the middle of a tour around the house.
Well, don't let me interrupt you.
Come on then, Klaus. We'll see you later, Nanny.
Yes, dear, yes. Oh, he seems a very nice young man.
He is.
Well, now, how are your preparations going for the house party?
Oh, all right. Liz is out in the garden now getting the vegetables for dinner. I've just been making the pastry. It all fell apart when I rolled it out, so I just stuck it together in the dish. Do you think it matters?
I shouldn't think anybody would notice.
Well, we've done all the rooms, so there's nothing much left until they arrive.
Well, now, just remind me again who are coming and when.
Well, Klaus is here.
Yes.
Then Mrs. Walden and Mr. Barnett are coming tonight, and Aunt Phyllis tomorrow.
Oh, yes, that's right, because of the ballet or something.
Yes, she got the tickets weeks ago and couldn't bear to miss it. But she'll be down first thing in the morning.
Good. Well, it's a pity none of your friends were able to come. It would have been nice for you to have had someone of your own to entertain.
Oh, well, I did leave it a bit late. And as Liz says, it's the wrong time of year. Well, practically everyone's away. Doesn't matter. In fact, it's quite good, because it leaves Liz and me free to get on with the cooking and hostessing and things. I've undertaken full responsibility for the dinner tomorrow night. I can't think why.
Oh, you'll manage.
Well, I better go and find Liz and see if there's anything else we should be doing. See you later, Nanny.
Yes, dear, and good luck for your dinner tonight. And remember, I'm here if you need me.
Well, Liz is doing the main part, but thanks all the same.
Well, that's about it, really. I think we've seen everything.
Oh, it's a lovely house. I can see now why you are so fond of it.
Oh, Grandpa, how did you enjoy your Bach cantatas?
Dear, the singing was absolutely beautiful. Oh,
Oh, Grandpa, this is Klaus von Heining, my grandfather, Mr. Ashley.
How do you do, sir?
how'd you do, young man? So, you got here all right.
Oh, yes, thank you, sir.
Jolly good. Well, have any of the others turned up yet?
Not yet, no.
Well, that's a relief at any rate.
Well, I'll show you the garden, shall I, before it gets dark?
Oh, yes, certainly.
Do you mind, Grandpa?
Not at all, my dear. You go on. You go ahead. Do you know where Liz and Anne are?
No, I don't, I'm sorry.
Ah, well, never mind. I'll have a look at the paper. Didn't have a chance to do my crossword this morning.
Oh, it's need refilling. Oh, what's happening? Well, Grandpa's doing the crossword. Vicky and Klaus are playing the piano. They're all right for the moment. But Grandpa says he'll die of hunger if we don't eat soon. Dear, where have they got to? The dinner won't be edible for very much longer. Quite apart from anything else. Is it all right? The vegetables have gone to mush, and the meat will probably taste like cardboard. Thank goodness we're having a cold first course, that's all I can say. Oh dear. I do hope they hadn't had an accident. I gave Daphne such detailed directions she couldn't have got lost. Well, we'll wait a bit longer and then we'll have to start dinner without them. Oh, Liz, do you think we ought to? Well, it's their fault if they don't arrive on time.
You've been practicing.
A little.
Well, that's not fair. I haven't been able to play at all since you've been away.
Oh, but you were always so much better than me in the first place.
Nonsense.
You still are. I'm only trying to keep up with you. Oh, you know the Mozart sonata you were talking about?
Yes,
Well, I borrowed the music from my aunt. It's upstairs. Shall I fetch it?
if you like.
Come with me.
Yes.
It's quite easy, though I don't expect Javier to play it at a proper tempo.
I did enjoy that. It was foray, wasn't it? I can't wait for the Mozart.
Thank you, Grandpa.
I'm sure this is the right house. To bring my handbag from the car. There's a dear I'm bringing. Good evening. Would you tell Miss Bourne I'm here, Mrs. Walden? Oh, and our luggage is in the car.
Mrs. Walden! Daphne! Oh, I am so pleased to see you. We were worried you might have had an accident.
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. We are a little late, but we did stop down on the way to see some friends, and we stayed a bit longer than we meant to, didn't we, Leonard? Oh, this is Leonard.
Oh, how do you do?
How do you do?
Well, let me introduce you. My sister Elizabeth. How do you do?
How do you do? So you're Elizabeth. You're the one who went to Oxford, aren't you?
Yes.
Well, well. Leonard went to Cambridge, so I'm sure you'll find plenty to talk about.
And this is my grandfather, Mr. Ashley.
Oh, Mr. Ashley, I see. Well, I am so glad to find that I have an ally of the older generation here.
Yeah.
You and I will have to keep an eye on these young people, won't we, Mr. Ashley? But where is this young unmarried man I'm supposed to protect you from? I'm so looking forward to meeting him.
Well, that's Klaus.
Oh, is it?
My sister Victoria.
How do you do?
And Klaus von Heinig from Munich. Mrs. Walden.
How do you do?
I hear you are a very dangerous young man from whom young girls must be protected.
I beg your pardon?
But you're not going to get into any mischief as long as I am here. I shall not take my eyes off you for 1 minute, Herr von Heinig.
The issue has never been more clearly divided than it is at the present time. The individual must stand back and ask himself, who am I? What have I got to offer? The world is on the threshold of change, and we will all be called upon to play our part.
Leonard, do sit down and read a book, dear, please. I'm sure you don't have this dreary preoccupation with the state of the world. Now,
Well,
do tell me all about yourself.
Well, lunch is ready. Where's Grandpa?
He's taken refuge in the garden.
Oh, I don't blame him. Look, shall we start and not wait for him?
Yes, I think we'd better.
Oh, listen, there's a car.
Good, that'll be her.
Phyllis. Hello. I'm not terribly late, am I?
No, not at all.
Well, considering I didn't set off until 10, it's pretty good timing, isn't
You must
it?
have driven like a maniac.
Oh, darling, it's lovely to see you. I really need this weekend. The last few days have been so hectic. Vicky, my dear. Now, you look a bit peaky. You should be out in the sun. Daphne Walden.
Phyllis Bourne? Look, you are Aunt Phyllis?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I should have realised. How extraordinary.
Well, what on earth are you doing here? I mean...
I am the chaperone, my dear.
The chaperone?
Isn't that hilarious? Well, these dear girls were in a bit of a fix, and when they asked me to help out, well, of course, I was delighted.
I see. Well, it's splendid. How nice to see you.
Oh, it's lovely to see you too, darling. Have you met Leonard Barnett?
I don't think so.
Pleased to meet you.
How do you do?
Oh, this is Klaus von Heining.
Ah.
How do you do?
Here's Grandpa.
All this time to see.
Hello, Phyllis.
Hello, Charles.
Well,
How's your
Well, lunch is ready, everybody, so shall we go in?
That drip Leonard's following Liz around like a dog. It's driving her mad. And Daphne's vamping poor Klaus.
Never mind. I'm taking them both off for a lovely long drive this afternoon.
Oh, good.
Pity you can't come.
Well, I'm playing Cinderella this weekend, stuck in the kitchen all day.
I wish I could help, but I suspect I'm more use driving Mrs. Walden and her ventriloquist dummy round and round Herefordshire while you girls get on with things.
Aunt Phyllis?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know Mrs. Walden? I mean, how did you meet her?
Can't remember. Some party or other. She's not really my type.
No, I shouldn't have thought she was. Only we did need a chaperone.
You could have asked me.
But you aren't married.
I'm not exactly a cloistered spinster, darling.
It's got to be a married woman. That's what we were always told.
There are married women and married women. Oh, let's just hope poor Klaus has the strength to stand up to her and not get eaten alive.
Poor Klaus. Poor Vicky. It was supposed to be a lovely weekend, and now it's going to be awful. Oh, no! Oh... Well... Come on. Come on, come on, come on.
That was a fascinating afternoon, Phyllis. Do you know, I haven't been to Stratton Thursley since I was, well, at least 14.
That would be some time ago.
And so nice to show Klaus where I grew up, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, very interesting.
Ah, you're back. Good. It is getting on for 8.
We'll fly up and dress.
Yes, please do. Oh, that'll be Dr. Harrington. Excuse me. Good evening, Dr. Harrington. Do come in.
Good evening, Miss Bourne. I hope I'm not too early.
Oh, not at all, not at all.
Good evening, Dr. Harrington. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Let me introduce you. This is Mrs. Daphne Walden, Mr. Leonard Barnett, and Klaus von Heinig. They're staying for the weekend. Dr. Brian Harrington.
How do you do?
I do hope that you are not Elizabeth's lover, because Leonard here is hoping to get off with her this evening, aren't you, dear?
I see.
Dr. Harrington is our family doctor.
Oh, I see. Oh, well, that's all right, then. You've still got a chance, Leonard, my boy. Now, do come along. You know how long you take with your bow tie.
Is everything all right, Anne?
Of course it is.
Sorry? Looks a bit chaotic. You sure you know what you're doing?
Of course I know what I'm doing, and I'd get on a good deal better if people didn't keep coming in and asking me if I'm all right all the time. Oh, bother.
What's the matter now?
The sauce has gone lumpy, that's what's the matter. I threw away the water I was supposed to use. I forgot to take the giblets out of the chickens, the cauliflower's cooked in it's far too soon, and the potatoes won't brown.
Hello, how are you getting on? Anything I can do to help?
Oh,
dear.
It's all disaster, Nanny.
I swear I'll never ever do this again as long as I live. Next time I'll make sure Mrs. Gates is at home.
Oh, come on, I'll give you a hand. See, look, oh, mercy, what's in this saucepan? Oh.
Gosh, I'll be glad when this wretched meal is over.
I'm sorry, dear.
Now, I must say, the standard of performance was extremely high. I wish you could have got to some of those concerts, Phyllis. Did you manage to get to one, Brown?
Unfortunately not, no.
Ah, well, Vicky and I went one, didn't we? A magnificent organ recital. We did enjoy it.
I know, Vicky. Why don't you and Klaus play the piano now? You were playing so beautifully yesterday evening.
Oh, yes. Oh, no, please. No music. I have a little bit of a headache. Perhaps a brandy might help. Just a little one. You don't mind, do you, dear? And Klaus, why don't you come and sit beside me and finish telling me that story you started at dinner? I don't mean to cast aspersions on your playing, my dear. I'm sure you play very prettily. You aren't offended, are you?
Oh, dear. Well, if you'll excuse me, I think I'll go and make the coffee.
Yeah.
Well, I do hope she wasn't too upset. These young girls are so sensitive.
Yes.
Well, she'll have to grow out of it. We all grow cynical with time.
I think I'd like a breath of fresh air.
Yes, me too.
You all do seem to be rather long-faced. You must do something about it. Now, what should we do? Why not a little dancing? If you have a gramophone, of course.
Oh, but your headache.
Oh, yes, my headache. Do you know, I think a little dancing might do it some good. Have you got a gramophone? And some records, too?
I'll fetch them.
Oh, I will help you.
Thank you, Klaus.
There's a dear boy.
Well, if they're going to bring that noisy contraption down here, I think I will retire to the study, if you don't mind. Oh, would you be good enough to tell Phyllis to bring my coffee in there when it's ready? Thank you.
Are you going to allow that young doctor to monopolize Miss Elizabeth?
No.
Well, do something about it then. Go out after them. Oh, and do stand up straight, Leonard. Nobody is going to be attracted to you if you've gone slouching around like that.
Never seemed to worry you before.
I'm afraid we don't have a very wide selection of records. I bought all the ones we do have so you can choose.
Oh, good. Oh, Klaus, dear, that must be frightfully heavy.
I find it quite light, thank you. Where would you like me to put it?
Oh, on the piano.
Oh, you must be terribly strong. What it is to be young.
Where's Leonard?
Oh, he's out in the garden with your sister.
Oh, well, if you'll excuse me, I think I might go and find them.
Ah, what shall we have? Nothing too strenuous, something sultry and slow, I think, don't you?
Oh, Vicky, what are you doing up here, dearie?
Oh, I just thought I'd come and see you, Nanny.
See me? Oh, what about your party?
Oh, it's all very boring.
Boring? What about your young man? What about Klaus?
Oh, Nanny, it isn't fair, really, it
Oh,
is.
Vicky, my real lass. No. What are you talking about? Say, what's the matter? Come on, turn, Nanny, dear.
Just who can sorrow?
Come a little closer, dear.
It's no wild fantasy. This is a fact. And this is going to happen one day, and very soon. I mean, this is what people like Daphne don't realise. Her days are numbered. The money she fritters away on her useless and unproductive life will soon be given to the people. You see, there will be no more privilege, no more power of one man over another, because all the power will be in the hands of the people. We shall all be rulers, each man will have his say, and our children will grow into it. But our children, you see, will grow into a world that is free and full of equal opportunity, where society is not structured towards wealth and privilege, but towards the contribution that each man makes to the common good.
Yes, it sounds wonderful.
No, but you're wonderful, you see, because your mind is so pure, uncluttered. In the new world that is dawning, we must get rid of the old ways. We must shake off the old ideals, and we must march forward into the light of the new age. And you and I will be there at the front, waving the banner of freedom and truth, marching onward into glory. We could take over the world.
Is there anything I can do?
Oh, no, thank you. I'm just finishing off the drying up. Aunt Phyllis did most of it.
Where is your Aunt Phyllis?
In the study, playing chess with Grandpa. Keeping out of the way. Where's Liz?
In there. Leonard is going on about something or other. I'd had enough.
Oh, dear.
I think I'll just slip off home if you don't mind. It's quite late and I'm on call tomorrow.
Well, what about Liz?
Well, she's occupied for the moment. I won't disturb her.
Oh, but...
I'll give her a call next week. Thank her for inviting me.
Yes, of course.
I'll go out this way so as not to disturb anyone. Good night, and thank you for the dinner. It was delicious.
Thank you for coming. Good night.
Hello. I thought I'd done all that.
Oh, yes, thank you. I'm just finishing it off.
Well, I'm off to bed. It's been a long day.
Yes.
Everything's gone splendidly.
Has it? I don't think so. Oh, that man! He's a monster. He's completely plastered now. Where's Brian? He's gone. What? He went home. He said to say thank you and good night to everyone. He didn't want to disturb anyone by slipping out. Damn that Leonard! Damn!
Anne, why don't you take Leonard out into the garden or something? Change of air might do him good. You're in love with Dr. Harrington, aren't you? And he's in love with you.
How did you know?
Neither of you are very good at concealing it, especially with that Leonard about. It's all right. I won't tell anyone. He's married, isn't he?
Yes, and he's a Catholic.
Oh, Liz. You poor girl.
Excuse me, Mr. Ashley. Could I have a word with you?
Hello, Nanny. What at this time of night? What's it all about?
It's that woman, that Mrs. Walton, that chaperone. She sounds most unsuitable.
Oh, I see.
And I'm sure if the commander and Mrs. Bourne were here, they would have no hesitation in asking her and that young man she brought with her to leave first thing in the morning.
Oh, really, Nanny? But why?
Well, I've just had Vicky upstairs in my schoolroom in a terrible state. And it all came out how this woman was behaving. And I've just seen it now with my own eyes in the hall. Terrible carryings on.
Well, Nanny, what do you want me to do about it?
Well, I thought perhaps, you might ask her to go.
No, Nanny, no, I can't. No, that's a host's responsibility. I'm only a guest.
Well, but as the children's grandfather, you...
No, Nanny. They must take the consequences of their own actions. If they want this woman to go, well and good, but I'm not going to do their dirty work for them.
Well, but
No. My mind's made up, Nanny.
Oh, very well, Mr. Ashley. If you think that would be best.
I do, Nanny, I do, but I'm sorry poor little Vicky's upset. She'll be all right, won't she?
Oh, yes, she'll be all right. I've seen to that. I've put her to bed, and she'll soon be sound asleep and forget all about it.
Ah.
It's all part of growing up, isn't it? They've got to learn sometime.
Right, Nanny, you've put it in a nutshell.
Oh, well. I'll get back upstairs again. Good night, Mr. Ashley.
Night. Oh, wait a minute, Nanny. No, I'll come with you. It's quite time that I was going to bed too. Carryings on, you said?
Oh.
Oh, Mr. Ashley, there you are. Won't you join us in a little glass of brandy? Though whether we'd all fit into a little glass, I'm not quite sure. Whether we'd all fit into a... Oh, well, never mind.
No, thank you, but I'm on my way to bed. I'll say good night. Well, good night, Helen, honey.
Good night, Mr. Ashley.
Oh.
I hope you have pleasant dreams.
Thank you, my boy. I hope you do too. Good night.
Where is your glass, Klaus? I positively insist that you have some more brandy. Please me.
Never mind. It'll all be all right if you go and see him tomorrow. It's a pity about this evening, but it's not disastrous.
No.
What on earth's the matter?
It's Leonard. He's passed out.
What?
He just keeled over in the summer house.
Oh, calm down. Did you say he'd been drinking?
Yes. He can hardly walk straight.
Well, that's what it is. He's probably not used to it. I should just bring him in and let him sleep it off.
Bring him in? But he's out cold.
Well, you're big, strong girls. Carry him. Good night.
Oh, well, come on.
Oh, no. And I'm absolutely exhausted. Positively no more dancing. Come and sit down. Is it now? Ooh. Oh. To us. Hmm? What's in there? Come on. Let's find out. Come on, bring a glass. Ooh! Dark, isn't it?
I will find the light.
No. Nicer like this. Kiss me, Klaus.
No, look, please. I think there has been some misunderstanding. I was just out of politeness. You have mistook.
No mistake, darling, no mistake at all. Just relax. Be lucky. What's the matter with you, silly little Bavarian virgin? What do you think I'm going to do, eat you? Run away then, you silly little prig! Keep yourself pure till the day you die, for all I care. You seen Leonard anywhere?
Yes. He's here.
God, what's the matter with him?
He's drunk too much.
That is not unusual. Well, I'm going to bed. Take him up to his room, will you?
Heave ho, Leonard.
Come on, Leonard. Time for beddy buys. Oh, dear. Oh, Klaus! It serves him right.
Oh, Anne, I've got all the weight. I thought I had.
Drop him. He stinks.
Oh, Elizabeth, drown of my dreams.
What? Come on, Anne. Come on, Bennett. Oh, Elizabeth, girl of my dreams.
Oh, Vicky. Vicky. I'm so glad to get the chance to talk to you alone. I behaved very badly last night. I must apologize. I think perhaps it would be the best thing if I were to leave immediately.
Oh, no. I mean, do you have to? I've
Well,
hardly seen you. Oh, please don't go. There's so many things I haven't shown you. Besides, we haven't tried the Mozart sonata yet.
Well, if that is your wish, then I would be most happy to stay.
Well, that's settled then. Shall we go out into the garden?
Oh, yes, certainly.
Good morning, Phyllis.
Good morning, Charles. Sleep well?
Well, after things had settled down, yes, I did. Thank you very much. Phyllis, tell me, when are you thinking of leaving?
As soon as possible, to tell you the truth. I don't think I could bear to stay in the same house with that woman a moment longer than I have to.
Well, Phyllis, do you think that you could possibly give me a lift? I mean, my feelings are somewhat similar.
But of course.
Morning, Grandpa.
Oh, good morning,
Breakfast
my
is
dear.
ready. Nanny's
Good.
just gone up to call Daphne and Leonard.
They're not there.
What?
No. The rooms are empty and all the luggage is gone.
No.
Daphne's car's gone. You don't suppose they've left, do you?
They must have. They've gone. Now we can have a lovely day together, just the family.
And Klaus, I know. I've got a wonderful idea. Why don't we go and have a picnic on Gilwyn Gorge? Well, it's such a beautiful day.
Your grandfather and I were thinking of leaving, but under the circumstances, I think a picnic is a splendid idea.
Could I just make a request? Well, would it be possible to keep Daphne's visit a secret from the parents? Could it be just between us?
We will never mention it again.
As far as I'm concerned, never happened.
I wish it never had. But it looks like being Vicky and Klaus's weekend after all.
Anne? Vicky? Oh. Oh, shh. Hello? Hello? Who's there? Who? Oh, Phyllis. Don't tell me you're stuck on the road again. Oh, still in London? Oh. Well, the rector's with her, and Mrs. Hedges. Mrs. Hedges, yes. Say, oh, here's Anne. She'll speak to you. Anne, dear, it's your Aunt Phyllis. You better see what she wants.
Hello, Aunt Phyllis. Oh, not until Friday? All right, I'll tell Mummy. Well, might you come in time for the fete? We put you down to run to the tombola again. You're what? Oh, Aunt Phyllis, how absolutely thrilling. Could you get me his autograph? Or better still, a signed photo. Oodles of love, Earl Mulligan. Oh, well, yes, that would be marvellous. We could fetch at least £5 bob for it. Oh, yes, Granny's fine. She sends you her love. Or at least I'm sure she would if she knew you'd rung up. All right, Aunt Phyllis. And don't forget the photograph. Bye for now. Who is on the phone? Aunt Phyllis! And guess what? She's giving piano lessons to Earl Mulligan. Earl Mulligan? Yes. Oh, gosh, how marvellous.
Title pupil now. Happens to speak to her now.
Earl isn't his title, Nanny. It's his name. Oh, is he? Earl Mulligan, the film star.
He's over here from Hollywood, acting in a film at Denham Studios. He's in all the papers, Nanny.
He has to play the piano in the film, but he can't play. So they've hired Aunt Phyllis to coach him.
Oh, he must be a quick learner.
Oh, he won't really be playing. He'll just have to look as if he is. That's right. He has to put his hands on the keys and Aunt Phyllis has to show him where.
Oh, well, I can't see that it matters if we can't hear what he isn't playing. That's beyond me.
I don't think Nanny can have been to the cinema since the talkies came in. Oh, mind if I borrow your bike? Mine's got a slow puncher.
All right. Are you going into Horbury?
Yes.
Well, you might buy me a tie for Klaus. It's his birthday the day after I get back to Munich.
All right. Well, how much do you want to spend on it?
Well, not more than £1/2.
Okay.
Have you got enough?
Yes.
I'd borrow it from Mummy, only I don't want to disturb her.
Well, mind you pay me back.
Oh, you'll see to that.
My husband has agreed to run the children's sports again. Liz will take on the pony rides and thought she might tell fortunes.
Oh, out of the question. That's illegal.
Oh, what nonsense. Everyone will know it's only in fun.
I'm sure PC Rumbelow will be indulgent, seeing that it's in aid of our restoration fund. After all, he sings in the choir.
And I'm asking Vicky to take turns with Doreen Williams at sitting under the bucket of water.
Oh, not that particular sideshow. It is so awfully vulgar.
And very popular.
Yes, but Doreen Williams in a bathing costume. I mean, she's so terribly well developed.
Well, that's why it's so popular.
If all the duties are now apportioned, Madam Chairman, I should like to bring up the matter of the opening ceremony. As you may have heard, poor dear Lady Cartwright had a stroke recently, and for the first time for years we shan't be able to call on her. So if either of you ladies have any bright ideas...
No problem, Rector, no problem at all. I have the very answer. It just so happens that our local MP, Sir Wilfrid Hatton-Jones, is playing golf with my husband on Tuesday, and I'm sure...
I think not. A mistake to bring politics into a church fete.
Oh, I quite agree. You put his name on the posters and you'll freeze out our Liberals and our Socialists.
And a very good job, too.
Their money, dear lady, is as good as anyone else's.
Now, what about our local celebrity, Norman Keeler?
The tennis player? Oh, no.
Well, he did reach the last 8 in Wimbledon this year.
Oh, Mrs. Bourne, have you ever heard him open his mouth? He's so dreadfully common. I mean, he drops H's all over the place. Well, he swears, too.
Oh, no, we can't risk that.
Personally, I think that the person who opens our fete should have a title. It just so happens that I'm a very great personal friend of Lady Barnstable. Oh, of course she is a Roman Catholic, and perhaps that might not be suitable for a Church of England function.
Quite. What about your mother-in-law, Mrs. Bourne?
What, Alice?
Yes.
Oh, good gracious, I never thought of her. She has a title, Mrs. Hedges.
Well, I'm perfectly aware of that, Mrs. Bourne, but I thought it might be too great a strain on her. I mean, after all, at her age, she...
We can but ask her.
Open the fete? Me? Oh, I don't think so. I'm sure I'm not nearly important enough.
You are too modest, Lady Bourne. We in Winchley think otherwise.
Of course, if the thought worries you, Lady Bourne, we quite understand.
Well, I don't see why it should. You've done things like this before, haven't you, Alice?
Well, I used to present the prizes for the fleet sport when Billy was commanding in Malta. Oh, but that's such a long time ago. It must be years since I've spoken in public.
Years that have touched you lightly, my dear. I do hope you won't disappoint us.
Well, Morris, I don't know what to say. It's come as such a surprise.
You don't need to give us an answer at once, Lady Bourne. There's no hurry.
Well, the posters do have to be printed.
But surely your mother-in-law's welfare is most important, Mrs. Bourne. Tomorrow morning will do.
I'll sleep on it.
From the way old Ma Hedges was behaving, it was quite obvious she had somebody else in mind.
Do you think so?
Well, whoever it is, I've thought of someone else.
Oh, who?
Well, I expect you'll laugh. It's ever such a long shot. But I thought, as Aunt Phyllis knows Earl Mulligan, and if he happened to be free next weekend...
Vicky,
he could come down...
really? A famous Hollywood star coming all the way here to open a temple village fete?
It's a marvellous idea.
Have you heard Vicky's crazy idea?
Oh, yes, about Earl Mulligan. I think she's being rather bright for once.
Did you get on again to Aunt Phyllis?
Yes, I phoned her from that box outside Biddlecombe's.
Oh, Mummy would have squashed the idea. I didn't want her to know until it was absolutely a... Well, what's it called?
Well, fait accompli.
That's it.
I say that's rather good. Get it? Fait accompli.
Oh, Anne, really?
Oh, I thought it was rather good.
Well, what did Phyllis say?
Well, she said she'd ask him, but she didn't hold out much hope. Well, Earl Mulligan has a pretty full social life when he's not actually filming. We'll just have to keep our fingers crossed. Liz, are you going to be long with that machine? I want to sew on these spangles.
I've just got to take up this hem. The skirt's 2 years old. Oh, and 2 inches too long, too.
Signs of the zodiac.
I know. I thought I'd call myself Madame Scorpio.
That's my sign, not yours.
I know, but Madame Virgo would be a contradiction in terms.
Well, did you get that tie for Klaus?
Oh, yes. Oh, there you are.
But it's red.
Oh, why not? I think it's rather snappy.
But he couldn't wear this. Not these days. People would think he was a communist.
Oh, what nonsense.
I know it's nonsense, but that's what it's like in Germany now.
Well, I never thought of that. You still owe me 2 and 3pence for it.
Oh, would they change it?
I doubt it. Better give it to Ma Hedges for her second-hand store.
Oh, but it's new. And 2 and 3's an awful lot of money.
Well, I'll go.
Oh, thank you, dear. What about this baby?
Actually, 8. Oh, hello, Aunt Phyllis. Yes, this is Anne.
You did? What did he say? No, I don't believe it. Oh, Aunt Phyllis, that's marvellous. I didn't think we had a chance either. Oh, Aunt Phil, you're the tops, you really are. I must go and break it to the others. Yes, see you on Friday. Oh, Phyllis has actually got it. Yes. Oh.
Granny, you've been reprieved. Guess who's coming to open the fete?
I don't believe it.
Well, apparently he's filming on location in Wales next week, so he said he'd be delighted to drop by and do the necessary.
Do the necessary? What on earth are you talking about? I don't understand.
Oh, Mulligan, Mummy.
Oh, is this chap on the films?
Coming here?
To open our fete.
Oh, it was my idea, Mummy. You see, Aunt Phyllis is giving Earl Mulligan piano lessons, and I thought if she could persuade him to do it, well, I mean, everyone's heard of Earl Mulligan, haven't they?
And nobody knows me. I quite understand.
Oh, Granny, Vicky didn't mean it like that. Well, she thought it would be doing you a favour.
Well, that's the only reason I rang, Aunt Phyllis.
No need for excuses, child. Your famous Earl is naturally a great deal larger attraction than the poor old widow of a mere night bachelor. I think I'll go for a little stroll in the garden.
Let me... What? Mother, I'm sure the girls were just thoughtless. No, they didn't really want to upset you.
Forget it, Arthur. I've forgotten it already. Say no more about it.
That was an absolutely dreadful thing to do. You've hurt and upset her more than you know.
Oh, it's only because I thought you were being unkind to her, making Granny do something she dreaded.
As if I would. Oh, she was delighted to be asked. She took it as a great compliment.
Vicky thought that Granny didn't want to do it.
Well, I know she put on a show of not being too keen, but that was just her natural modesty. Granny's a Victorian. The way she was brought up, it wasn't ladylike to show undue eagerness. Isn't that right, Father?
Oh, yes, it's very true. She was, what is it you girls say, tickled pink. She'd already start to write a speech.
Oh, I could die.
Well, that wouldn't help.
I'm even more to blame. I did the dirty work.
Yes, well, you'll just have to undo it. Ring Phyllis back and tell her that there's been a mix-up and Mr. Mulligan mustn't come.
No, Helen. I don't think so.
Well, Arthur, can't you see that it means an awful lot to your mother?
Yes, darling, I can see that, and I'm very sorry, but it would be very wrong if we took this thing personally. Now, look here. This fete, I mean, it's only being held in our garden simply because it happens to be the most suitable one hereabouts. I mean, after all, it's not for the glory of the Bourne family, no, it's for the glory of God. What's this fellow's name? I mean, Duke Mulligan?
He's only an earl, Daddy. You're making him far too important.
Well, he's important enough for me to have heard of him, and that means he'll draw a lot more people once it's known that he is going to open the fete.
Yes, no doubt of that.
Yes, I mean, it's really for the benefit of the church, isn't it? Now, look here, I think what you girls did was very, very wrong. I mean, particularly without consulting us. But I can see now that it was a jolly good idea.
Oh, Daddy, you've made me feel so much better.
Now, we'll go and have a diplomatic word with Mother.
Really, Arthur, I hadn't thought of it that way. But
I think it would have broken my heart if it had to stop him from coming.
Are you all three in love with him?
With Earl Mulligan? Oh, no, Grandpa. He isn't the kind of film star you fall in love with.
Oh, he's terribly old. 35 at least.
Oh, I'd say more like 40.
Oh, poor old chap. Only hope he can make it on his own 2 feet.
I think you'd do well to cut out the egg and spoon race. It caused a lot of bad feeling last year.
Uh-huh.
Well, the girls played fair, but the boys kept on kicking their eggs after they dropped them, remember?
Yes, I will.
You'll cut it out.
Cut what out, dear?
Oh, never mind. Lord, here's the rector.
Yep, I leave that to you.
Oh. My dear Morris, how nice to see you. Do come in.
Well, I hope I'm not too early in the day, but I thought I should speak to you at once after what I've just been told about the opening ceremony.
Yes.
Well, it seemed to me that if Lady Bourne doesn't wish to take it up, well, we have an excellent alternative.
Oh, my dear Morris, I am so glad you approve. Do come and sit down.
The Bishop of Hereford is a first-rate speaker, quite a wit.
What bishop?
There's no doubt you know. He's preaching in Horbury on Sunday, and I've just heard that he's spending the weekend with friends there.
No, my dear Morris, we must be at cross purposes. You see, well, I thought you must have heard. Oh, dear. Oh, would you excuse me just one moment? Please take a seat.
Well, thank you, my dear.
Mrs. Bourne, is this true, what I've just been told in the village? Oh, good morning, Rector.
Mrs. Hitchens.
That you've made arrangements for our village fete to be opened by a film star?
A film star?
Well, you see, I was going to ring you both this morning. Well, the printers were on to me first thing, and they had to have the name for the posters. Well, my girls asked this Mr. Mulligan, Earl Mulligan, without telling me what they were doing, and, well, when he accepted...
What name did you say?
Earl Mulligan. Oh, he's very famous.
I understand he's been married 4 times.
Well, you know what it's like in Hollywood. Married today, divorced tomorrow.
Mrs. Bourne, do you seriously consider that somebody who's been divorced several times is a suitable person to open our village fete?
Well, I don't think we ought to let that worry us, do you, Morris? I mean, it's not like Ascot.
Well, he will be a popular attraction, of course.
Yes, and the church will benefit.
Yes.
Hadn't that thought struck you, Mrs. Hedges?
My first thought, naturally. But I must confess I'm terribly disappointed, because I had hoped that our dear Lady Bourne would have done us that honour.
It looks awful.
Oh, it looks just right. What are you going to do about your hair? It doesn't look anything like a gypsy's.
Well, I thought it won't show if I tuck it underneath my scarf. And, I thought I'd pull a few strands of wool out of that brown rug in the dining room. Well, it's molting anyway. And have them peeping out here and there. Oh, I know. I've just thought of someone else you must try and bring into my tent. Philip Watson.
Oh, don't be unkind to Philip. I like him.
Well, so do I. That's why. He's having an affair with that horrid Jew Matthews. I think I shall tell him to beware of a tall, dark woman born under the sign of Gemini.
How do you know she's a Gemini?
Oh, people called June mostly are. There are going to be some startling changes in this village once Madame Scorpio's done her stuff.
Has Madame Scorpio decided who Earl Mulligan's next wife is to be?
Well, Liz says she doesn't want him, so I thought I might match him up with Greta Garbo.
Listen to this, you two. What's that? I've just noticed something in the Daily Telegraph.
Film star in nightclub brawl. Oh, my God.
Oh, no, it's not.
Yes, of course it is. It's Earl Mulligan.
Liz, darling, where are you?
Oh, get rid of it.
Coming, Mummy.
If you've lost your glasses again, they're on your nose.
Alice, I am aware of that. I'm looking for the Daily Telegraph.
Perhaps Arthur's got it in his study.
No, I've looked in there. Oh, have either of you seen the Telegraph? It seems to have disappeared.
Has it?
Oh.
I was keeping tea till Phyllis arrived, but we really can't wait any longer. There's still so much to do before tomorrow. And Vicky, tea! How's it going, Arthur?
Oh, it's chaos, you know, as usual. Half the trestles are missing. They put them away last year. They can't find them. Well, there's a horrible mess on the lawn. As I was marking out the starting line, Gates put his foot in the whitewash. Oh, your tent, my dear, looks a bit rickety. Hope it's not too windy tomorrow. Otherwise, we're in very good shape. Thanks.
Oh, that must be a car now. I'm sure it's Phyllis.
Oh, I'll let her in.
Yes, do.
Arthur, have you by any chance seen the Telegraph?
I'm much too busy, old chap. Look, it must be here somewhere. I saw the girl delivering it this morning.
I'm sure Charles must be betting on a horse.
Oh, don't be ridiculous, Alice. I just want to look at the cricket scores. Read the cricket column.
Hello.
Oh, thank
Hello, Phyllis.
Hello, Phil. You look pretty well.
I am pretty well. Hello, Mother, darling.
Yep. Is that the Telegraph you've got there?
Yes, it is. I haven't looked at it. I stopped for it in Maidenhead to read the review of last night's proms.
You don't want to see that now, do you, Grandpa?
Yes, I do.
In time for tea, am I?
Yes,
wonderful. I'm parched.
Phyllis, would you be fine?
All ready for the fete, then?
Oh, there's still plenty to do. Yes. You needn't imagine you're going to get out of it, arriving the night before.
I think Phyllis has done more than enough already, getting us the great Earl Mulligan.
Oh, dearie me.
What is it, Grandpa?
Young Turnbull out for a duck in the second innings.
Oh, too bad. What sort of chap is he?
Earl Mulligan. Oh, we've only had one session so far, but we got on pretty well.
Earl Mulligan? Is that the name of your fella?
Yes. Is there something about him, though?
I should say there is. Film star in nightclub brawl. Look at this.
Good heavens.
Darling, read it out.
Police were called to a London nightclub early this morning to quell a disturbance involving Earl Mulligan, the Hollywood star now making his first film in England. A fight which started when Mulligan claimed that he had been insulted led to tables being overturned and several persons sustaining minor injuries. The same star figured in a similar incident in Los Angeles last July.
I knew nothing of any of this.
No, Phil, we quite realise that.
And this is the man you've asked to open the church fete.
It's all right, Mother. You won't have to meet him.
I found that old pram you wanted, Eileen. It was in the garden shed. I dusted it down.
That's a blessing, Fred. I'm certainly going to need it. You know, this year's cake is the biggest I've ever made.
Oh, have you weighed it yet?
Oh, no, it's never weighed. Not till after they've all had their guesses. Where is the pram?
Oh, well, I was going to fetch it in by the back door so you could see if it was clean enough for the cake. Only Miss Anne said she'd bring it in herself.
Oh, all right.
Well, just to let you know it's been found. I'll have to get back and give the commander a hand at the big marquee. Oh, he's cursing something terrible because some of those stay ropes are frayed. I mean, it's only a church fete, not a blinking naval review.
Good morning, Gates.
Good morning, lady.
Oh, your poor garden is bedlam out there.
Oh, don't worry, my lady. I'll soon tidy it up, as long as they don't actually walk on the herbaceous borders.
As well they may. Oh, Mrs. Gates, when are we supposed to have our luncheon?
Any time you like, my lady. It's all here now.
Oh, is this lunch?
It's only cold snacks today, Lady Bourne, I'm sorry. But I could bring you a boiled egg to your room if you'd like.
Oh, thank you, Nanny. I would prefer it.
Very good, Lady Bourne. Come on, Eileen. Can you give me a hand with a lemon squash?
Who are you, young woman? What are you doing here?
Oh, you've got a kind face, lady. Oh, don't be hard on me and me baby.
Please go out at once. This is a private house.
We're ever so hungry.
Do you wish me to call the police?
Anne, do stop teasing your poor old grandmother.
Is that you, Anne? Wretched child.
Oh, what have you brought this dirty old thing in here for?
Mrs. Gates I asked for it, madam. It's for taking this round.
Oh, Mrs. Gates, what a beauty.
Beautiful. I'd best put it in one of the tents. Oh, I do hope them bandsmen don't spot it.
Anne, you really are.
Gangway for two thirsty workers.
What a cake! Oh, goodness.
What are you going to have, Phil?
Well, be a devil and put some gin in the orange squash.
All right, coming up. The same for you, Helen.
Oh, yes, please. No sign of Earl Mulligan? No, nothing at all.
Well, does that mean he's on his way or he's not coming?
Take your pick. I can't say which is the worse or evil.
What do we do if he doesn't turn up?
Heaven knows we can't ask Alice again.
My darling, I shall just go out there and fire my starting pistol.
Can we start eating? I'm famished. I've started.
Well, we may as well. It is past 2:00. Did you say anything about lunch to Mr. Mulligan? Oh, no, I thought you'd all be far too busy to make a proper meal of it.
And he will probably have drunk his lunch on the way.
Oh, you're all eating? Good. No Earl Mulligan.
I think Earl's going to turn out a stinker.
Well, maybe it's just as well. Oh, Daddy, Mrs. Morgan says at the Horbury Court fete they charged a penny for the pony rides, and I've marked up twopence. What should I do?
Now, compromise. Charge half fare for those under 3.
Oh, but I have to work twice as hard holding them on.
Your film star has arrived.
Oh, where? He's here?
The rector and your gardener are bringing him in.
What do you mean, Mrs. Hedges?
Flat on his back in the drive.
An accident?
He said he'd been run over.
Oh, poor man.
By a pig.
A pig?
He must mean a road hog.
Halfway up the drive, I was the first on the spot, and those were his very words. I had been run over by a pig.
Your Mr. Mulligan is drunk.
Oh, no.
is he coming in?
Hi, everybody. How's this for an entrance, huh?
No, he's really hurt.
It is, I believe. Yes. For goodness sake, clear the deck.
Aren't you? I'm
And let
sure
the
you're
dogs see the
hurt.
wreck.
Yeah, so am I.
See the wreck.
You know, you're going to have to put up a little sign out on your front gate saying, beware of the pig.
The pig ran away, sir, as Frank Watson was unloading it.
Oh, it was that one, was it?
Yes, sir. I'll go and see to it.
Mr. Mulligan, I'm terribly sorry. You know, bowling, pitching for a pig, that's one of the traditional sports of these country fetes.
Yeah, well, this time the pig did the bowling, huh?
Where are you hurt? Perhaps I can help. I have a degree in medicine.
Well, have you now?
Yes.
Well, help yourself. I threw it out of joint some time ago. Happens every so often. I injured it when I was making a Western. Well, I was one of the bad guys chasing Gary Cooper. Yeah, I dashed out of the saloon, I jumped onto my horse, and fell off the other side.
Sorry. I think I've just done it.
Yeah, I think you have.
Well, try it.
Yeah. There it is, good as new. Oh, thanks, Doc. I like your style. Hey, why don't you come back to the States and look after me, huh?
Yes, well, I'll take my advice from the family. Well, let me introduce you. This is my mother.
Ma'am.
And my father.
How do you do?
Sir.
Sister Vicky.
Hi.
And if you give this one a wash, you'll find Sister Anne. Mrs. Hedges.
Ma'am.
How do you do? Rector, Mr. Fuller.
Mr. Mulligan.
And Aunt Phyllis, of course you know.
Yes, I do. Well, pleased to meet you all. And may I say what a pleasure it is to be invited into your lovely English home.
It's very good of you to honor us, Mr. Mulligan.
No, I'm sure you need a drink. Now, what are you going to have?
Oh, no, sir. Nothing for me, thanks. I only drink between pictures. When I'm working, I never touch anything stronger than milk.
Oh, don't tell us it was milk you were drinking in that nightclub.
I was.
Oh.
That's what caused all the trouble. Some wise guy at the next table made a remark about it. I told him to mind his own business, and then he insulted my mother.
You took your mother to a nightclub?
No, ma'am. My mother passed over 5 years back. But he called me a name that reflected on her memory, and that's something I just can't abide. Well, it was all kind of embarrassing. I suppose you might say I'm just accident-prone.
Well, if there's nothing we can offer you, Mr. Mulligan, or may I call you Al? And if your foot's quite better, I think it's time for the opening ceremony.
Well, whenever you're ready, ma'am.
Please call me Helen.
Ready, Helen?
Helen? I'm sorry, Mr. Mulligan. Would you just give me a minute to tell the band you're coming? Oh, they were going to play the Star-Spangled Banner as you walked out, but they don't know that very well. It's just a village band, you see, so we settled for Marching Through Georgia.
Oh, no, sir, no. Anything but that song. You see, Georgia happens to be my home state.
Then isn't that rather appropriate?
Well, Anne, I see I'm going to have to teach you a little bit about American history. I see, that song was sung by Sherman's Yankees as they marched through Georgia, burning, pillaging, looting, behaving roughly with the ladies.
Exactly. Well, look, I'll, if you'll excuse me, go and tell them to play Marching Through somewhere else.
Reverend, let me get this straight, will you? This wingding is in aid of your church, is that right?
In our annual church fete, the proceeds being devoted to our restoration fund.
Would that be your church I passed about a mile or so back down the road? Perpendicular period, a decorated tower, and a fine old rose window?
Yes, indeed. But parts of it, I fear, badly in need of restoring.
Well, let's not waste any more time. Let's go shake down your flock, huh? Oh, ladies, excuse me. Beauty before age.
Say. Alice, I'm absolutely exhausted.
Don't tell me you've been running in the veterans' race.
Oh, no. I was afraid I might win. That would embarrass Arthur. Oh, no. But I've done all the sideshows, you know. I even bowled for the pig.
With what success?
None whatever, thank goodness.
Why?
Well, my housekeeper would give notice at once if I came home with a live pig. What about you, Alice?
Well, what would I do with a live pig?
Oh, no, Alice. I mean, how have you got on at the sideshows? I didn't see you. Alice, you're not still sulking, are you?
I never sulk, Charles. Oh, Vicky! My dear child, you're soaking. It isn't raining, is it?
No, she goes under the
There you are.
bucket, don't you?
What are you doing, darling? Dripping all over my carpet. Now, out again, hurry. There's nobody under the bucket.
It's Doreen Williams' turn.
Oh, Doreen Williams is starting a cold. Her mother's made her put her clothes on.
Why can't I have a mother like that?
Bless you, darling. I'm so sorry, but there are people still arriving. Now, out you go. Hurry, and don't be a martyr.
Remember Joan of Arc?
At least they made it hot for her.
These fates seem to bring out the worst in everybody. Arthur's just had words with the rector. He wanted to disqualify the winner of the sack race.
Mm-hmm. Why should Morris mind?
Oh, well, it was one of his choir boys. Oh. And why aren't you out there telling fortunes?
Because I'm too good at it, that's why.
What do you mean, dear?
Well, I've just had a real gypsy in my tent. A horrid, smelly old woman. I pretended to read her hand. It was so grubby I could hardly see the lines. And I told her fortune was about to smile on her. Well, it damn well did. She's gone off with my handbag.
Oh, dear, darling, I am sorry. Was there much in it?
All the money I had in the world. 9 shillings and 8pence.
Oh, I say. Oh, never mind, Anne. We'll pass round the hat. You count me in for 2 shillings. And you too, Alice, yes? Yeah. Helen, have you noticed your mother-in-law's become rather hard of hearing lately?
Stop it, Father. You're an old tease.
Isn't that lightning?
Oh, my heavens, that's all we needed. Oh, come along, Anne, we better help get all the things in before they get so... Oh, towards you.
I'm not going upstairs, I tell you.
Right out of the way.
These things haven't been dried off in the kitchen. They're soaking wet already.
You should have had a tarpaulin over these, Nanny. Keep them dry.
What do you say that to me now?
I couldn't let you have one if you'd asked.
It's not for me to ask. Mrs. Potter's in charge of the old clothes. She should have thought of that.
Oh, come on, Gibbs. I'm the one who needs drying out.
Oh, Mrs. The cake!
Oh, my carpet!
Oh, my makeup!
What's all the fuss about? Just a little shower.
That's right, honey. Always look on the bright side. Me, I wouldn't have missed this for the world. A real English summer's day.
Oh, Mrs. Gates!
Oh, was it? You see, these are the various guesses over the weight of the cake. Only
Thanks, dear Mummy.
Yes, darling, thank you. We'll never know what it weighed now, so we decided to make it a lucky number draw and to give a bottle of something in its stead. What is it, darling? Brandy. Yes, that's all right. You left one down there for emergencies, did you?
Yes.
Oh, darling, you might at least have given it a little rub with the duster. Oh, never mind. I think we've got all the tickets in the hat now. Now, would you hold the hat, Mrs. Hedges?
I'd be delighted.
There, now, close your eyes, well, and pick one out. Far better if you do it, otherwise people might think that we were favouring friends of ours.
Oh, yes. 47.
Oh, who's that?
47, let's see now. Lady Bourne. Oh, my heavens, that won't do. She's my mother-in-law.
Did you say 47?
Yes, Alice, dear, but we can't possibly let it go to one of the family.
Why not? It was a perfectly fair draw. This gentleman will testify to that.
Yeah, that's right, ma'am. No funny business.
But you don't drink brandy, Alice.
I shall give it to Arthur for his birthday.
Well, it already belongs to Arthur. Oh, Alice, please.
Oh, all right. No funny business, indeed.
I'm sorry about that. I think we should draw again. Would you, Earl? Don't forget to close your eyes.
Right.
Let's hope.
92.
92. Let's see. Oh, thank heavens, that's better. Fred Stevens. He's the fat man who plays the big drum in the band.
Oh, would you like me to present it to him?
Oh, would you? He would be delighted if you did. What a good idea. I think the weather's turned out all right now. Perhaps you girls would like to go out with Earl and present it.
Fine brandy. Now, tell me, do you make this right here in your house?
No. I'm so sorry. I say that film star fella. He hasn't been at my cellar, has he?
No, darling. I sent Vicky down. Oh, we had to get a bottle of something to take the place of the cake because we had an accident.
But that's my best Napoleon brandy.
No.
Oh, yes. My God, he hasn't won it, has he?
No, I won it, and Helen wouldn't let me keep it.
Well, we drew again, and Fred Stevens won it.
Fred Stevens? What, that beer-swilling oaf? What, you just let him go off with my Napoleon brandy? Well, damn it, woman. Forgive me, Mother. I mean, that bottle must be worth at least £20.
Oh, darling, I am so sorry. Well, perhaps I can find Earl in time.
Oh, Helen, have you seen my Panama hat? You borrowed it. Arthur, have you seen my hat?
Damn and blast your hat.
Oh, dearie me. Is this a church fete, or are we back on the quarterdeck? Arthur. Ah, you've got it back. So Helen caught him in time.
No, she didn't. What? I had to buy it back. Cost me a £5.
Oh, well, I mean, that's cheap at the price. A bottle of Napoleon brandy costs you much more than that these days.
Well, it shouldn't have cost me a farthing. It's mine. And to get my own property back, I had to pay him the equivalent of 150 pints of beer.
Sure. Oh, Arthur, talking of property, did you by any chance see my hat?
Yes.
Ah.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I did. The postman is wearing it.
The postman?
Well, apparently Mrs. Hedges picked it up after the storm and sold it to him for sixpence.
For sixpence? But I paid a guinea for that hat only 3 weeks ago. It was a beautiful hat. I'm very fond of it.
Well, all right, old son, do what I did. Buy it back.
Well, it's not the same thing. I mean, nobody's touched your brandy. I'm damned if I'm going to share my Panama with a postman.
All right, well, please yourself. It was sold in a good cause. Oh. I'm going to put this in the gun room.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Come on, Earl, quickly, upstairs.
And from now on, the key remains safely in my pocket.
Arthur, you didn't see that?
See what?
Your daughter Liz has just taken that American film star fella up those stairs.
Oh, come on now, just because you lost your hair.
I tell you, they rushed up those stairs hand in hand.
My God. What a man with his reputation. So I think I'd better investigate.
Fella deserves a good thrashing.
Yes, but I hope I get there before he deserves it. Charles, would you? No, it's not.
Oh.
What's going on in here?
Please, Daddy, this is a tricky operation.
I've been stung by a bee, sir, and I'm allergic to bee stings. They swell me up like a gas balloon.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? Oh, I'm most terribly sorry. Look, is there something I could do to help?
Yes, Daddy, there is. Can you go to the bathroom and get Nanny's blue bag and hold it under the tap for a moment?
Blue bag, hold it under the tap.
Hey, I think Daddy thought the worst.
Don't be ridiculous.
Why, what's ridiculous about it? I'd have thought the same if I was in his shoes. You're a lovely girl, Liz.
Got it.
Let's have a look. Hey, Doc, you're all right. Oh, I would have hated to have to leave here looking like Fatty Arbuckle.
Who is this Arbuckle you keep mentioning?
How old are you, Liz?
21.
And you never heard of Roscoe Arbuckle, the fat star of the silent screen?
Is this what you meant?
Oh, yes, Daddy, that's it. Thank you. Earl, hold this on your neck.
I'm afraid I've had to apologize for our pig. I have to apologize for our bees.
Oh, don't give it another thought, sir. I've survived a lot worse in Death Valley.
Well...
Oh, Earl. Sit down and rest. And keep that thing firmly pressed to your neck. I think I got it out in one piece, but there may still be some sting left.
Anything you say, Doc.
Go on about your fat friend.
Arbuckle? Oh, he was no friend of mine. I was just an extra when he was up on top.
Well, you said something about a scandal.
Yeah, it's not a very nice story.
That's why I want to hear it.
Well, he threw a wild party once in a hotel in San Francisco. You know, a lot of slow booze and fast women. One of the girls died, and that was the end of Fatty's career.
He, behaved roughly with her.
Hey, now you're teasing me, huh?
I'm sorry, Earl, but you're such an unexpected person. Drinking milk and minding your language and talking about church architecture.
Me? Well, honey, I don't know the first thing about church architecture.
But all that stuff you were giving the rector. Perpendicular towers and rose windows.
Oh, that, well... Your Auntie Phil asked me to come down and do a little job at the church in Winchley, Herefordshire, so it was no problem to ask somebody at the studio to look it all up for me.
You took took the trouble to memorize it?
Well, I'm an actor. Memorizing comes easy.
Earl, what I meant was, you do all these nice things, and then we read about you raising hell in nightclubs and breaking up the furniture and hitting people for six.
Well, I've explained about that.
Yes, but it wasn't the first time, was it? Well, it said in the paper you did the same thing recently in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I know, and that wasn't the first time either. Okay, so I'm no angel. Hey, did you see that film? Now, Mae West, she's a great friend of mine. She's a great lady. You know what? What was I talking about?
You were giving your new doctor a case history. Oh, keep that on your neck.
Okay, Doc. All right, I admit I have a quick temper, and when I'm not working, I put down the milk and I pick up the bourbon. But you see, playing a tough guy in the movies, there's always some drunk or other somewhere who's out to prove that he's tougher than you are. Now, me, I only like to fight when it's fake, and when I'm getting paid for it. But turning the other cheek is very hard when some wise guy comes over and calls you a nasty name and pours a drink over your head.
Yes, I suppose so. Well, it didn't occur to me.
Yeah, and not having a real home, I have to eat out a lot more than I care to do. Now, that's why it's been such a pleasure to be here today, to see the kind of family circle I wish I could have known. Oh, my folks split up when I was a kid. I've never stayed married long enough to have a family. Yeah, but I do have a daughter, though. Yeah, real little sweetheart. Oh, and I just happened to have her picture here.
Oh, she's sweet. What's her name?
Lucy May. She's 4 years old. And I was putting mine to the little darling the minute I came into this room. You know that? You know what did it? This little fella right here.
A dilly-dally?
Is that his name? Howdy, partner.
Aunt Phyllis gave him to me when I was just about your Lucy May's age.
Well, I bought Lucy May a real Dalmatian for her last birthday. She was over the moon about it. Cute little spotted puppy. But her mother, who is soon to be my ex-wife, wouldn't let her keep it.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, I'll never forgive her for that. Lucy May still cries about it.
Earl, why don't you take Dilly-Dally and give him to her the next time you visit her? Do you think it's a good idea?
Why, Liz, what a sweet, kind thought. But I couldn't. I mean, a little fella like that you've had all these years.
Oh, what nonsense. I'm a big girl now. Do you think she'd like him? He's rather old and moth-eaten. He's lost a bit of an ear.
That's why she'll like him. Because that little fella's been loved. I mean, really loved. For a long time. Kids, you know, they can sense things like that.
Then take him to her, Earl.
Oh.
Liz! Liz! Liz, are you upstairs?
Yes, I'm here. What is it?
What's Earl Mulligan doing with Dilly-Dally?
I gave it to him.
You what?
For his little girl. Poor kid had a real Dalmatian and lost him.
Well, you've got a damn cheek giving away something I've always treasured without even asking my permission.
Dilly-Dally was mine. I had every right.
He was not yours. Granny gave him to me when I was so high.
Absolute tripe. He was a present to me from Aunt Phyllis. You ask her.
Liar! That was Percy Pobble.
You're inviting a slap across that hot red face of yours. It was Dilly-Dally. I loathed Percy Pobble.
I love my dear Dilly. I think it was shameful of you.
You'd have grudged him to a poor, sad little girl. It's about time you grew up.
Oh, well, if you give her pleasure, I'm glad. What makes me boil is you having the nerve to do the Lady Bountiful with my property.
Oh, for God's sake, don't start that again.
Dilly away. Liz did. How dare you without asking me?
Don't pretend he was yours.
Of course he was mine.
He was not. He was mine.
Liz gave him to you.
I didn't.
And you swapped him with me for Percy Pobble.
You're mad. Percy Pobble belonged to Liz.
Oh, look, shut up, both of you. What does it matter anyway? He's gone now.
But to give him to Mrs. Hedges without telling either of us.
Mrs. Hedges?
He was on her second-hand stall.
I don't believe it.
Well, Liz gave Dilly to Earl for his little daughter.
Then Earl must have handed it to Mrs. Hedges. He was on her stall, sitting upside down in a shopping basket. Here's Mrs. Hedges now, and she's still got Dilly-Dally. What do you think? We've sold every single item. It's never happened before.
Mrs. Hedges? Who bought the dog?
Why, Why, the film star, of course. Mr. Mulligan. Oh, of course, he didn't have to buy it, really, because it belonged to him. I understand that one of you girls made him a present of it. But he didn't think it was right that the church shouldn't benefit, so he presented it to my stall and then bought it back.
What did you price it at, Mrs. Hedges?
Well, I didn't. That's the point. He priced it himself. I thought, you see, about, half a crown. But he insisted that it was worth £10. Oh, he really is the dearest man, and thanks to his wonderful generosity, I'm £12 up on last year's takings on my stall. Oh, Mr. Mulligan, you dear, dear man. Look, I have your little dog waiting here for you.
Well, thank you, ma'am. I sure wouldn't want to leave without this little fellow.
Well, it's been a long and tiring day, and I think we all deserve a drop of consolation. Mrs. Hedges, what can I get you?
Oh, a glass of sherry would be most acceptable, thank you.
Splendid. Well, whiskey and soda, Morris?
Thank you, modest one.
Now, Earl, when I shot you, break your rule, just for once.
No, thank you. I gotta be moving on. I got a long drive ahead of me.
Oh, is there nothing we can offer you? Perhaps a glass of milk?
We promise not to laugh.
No, not even that. All I want to say is, you've given me a day I won't forget. It's the kind of day that kind of renews a guy's faith in the Christian cause. St. Paul said in his epistle to the Corinthians, God loveth a cheerful giver. And that assures me that the good Lord is looking down here smiling on you folks today because of the joyous work you have done for the greater glory of his house in this city of, in this village of Winchley, Herefordshire. I'm sorry, Reverend, I seem to be trespassing on your pastures, but just for that minute I had to let my heart speak. Well, nothing else to say except thanks a million and goodbye to all you lovely, lovely people.
Oh, it's for us to thank you, Earl. You've made it a wonderful day for all of us.
Here. Oh, goodbye, Earl. All I can say is we look forward to welcoming you again one day.
Thank you, sir.
I'll see you to your car.
Right. Well, so long, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks.
God go with you.
Bye.
He has made me feel very humble.
Yes, and in my case, a shame. I'm very sorry I behaved to you the way I did, Morris.
Oh. I don't think it's for any of us to start analysing the way we've behaved today.
What's
so funny, Anne?
Well, didn't any of you see that film? The Whited Sepulchre. Well, it was on at the Tivoli in Horbury about 6 months ago.
I remember Al Mulligan starred in it, didn't he?
That's right. He played the part of a bogus preacher, and he had a speech in that flick that was almost word for word the same as the one he's just made. He didn't bring a bigger humbug as any of us.
Bless the dear fellow. Thanks chiefly, I'm sure, to his presence among us, we have beaten last year's record takings by £37, 14 shillings and ninepence.
Oh, that's very good. I'm delighted.
That'll mean we can have that damp patch over the vestry seen to.
Oh.
Praise be to God.
births, marriages, and deaths. It's the only time families get together nowadays.
Nonsense, Alice. What about Christmas and Easter? I say, those girls are taking their time.
Oh, putting on their best bibs and tuckers. Funny thing, you know, getting married in the autumn.
Why?
Well, it's a time for ending, not for beginning. Spring, summer. Spring's the best time for weddings. May blossom and bride seem to go together, but autumn, falling leaves.
Some of us wouldn't mind getting married in the winter. Keep out the cold.
The Ludlow Bournes were always a bit dotty. My Billy's brother, Penelope's grandfather, you know, he was on the bench. He was so nervous they used to call him the jumpy judge. And my precious nephew never did a thing but dabble with watercolours.
Well, Penny's a good sort.
Who's this young man she's marrying?
Oh, Mother, now I've told you 1,000 times.
Well, tell me again.
He's a stockbroker.
No wonder I keep forgetting.
Oh, I'd like to see a marriage from this house. Any
Wouldn't
chance
we
of it
all?
in the not-too-distant future?
Well, Anne is quite keen on Michael Sherwood, but he hasn't been here for a bit.
No, he goes flying at weekends instead. I think that's what I'd like to have done in the next show, you know, if I were a youngster. Flying.
What next show, Arthur? Don't be so morbid. There positively isn't going to be another show, as you call it.
All right, my dear, well, you have it your own way, but some of us are inclined to agree with Winston Churchill. No, and I don't want to say I told you so.
Now, Arthur, we are not going to talk politics on Penny's wedding day. I do wish those girls would back up.
Isn't Liz a bit long in the tooth for a bridesmaid?
Well, Penny hasn't got any sisters, nor apparently any very close friends, so that's why she wanted our girls.
It's a wonder she's landed a man. Although I suppose the estate will come to her.
Oh, come on, Mother. Mustn't be uncharitable.
Well, what about my Elizabeth? Where does she stand in the marriage stakes?
Your Elizabeth hasn't got a man in sight. No, she's looking for an Einstein, which might make it difficult.
Jewish.
Oh, heavens, we'll have you supporting Mosley next.
Might make the trains run on time.
Oh, rubbish.
Now. Yeah. Here they come. Oh, I swear.
Oh, darlings, you do look a treat.
Isn't that a...
The Three Graces, aren't they, Arthur?
Yes, by Jove, yes. But I'll check the car with Gates.
3 little girls from school or something.
3 little maids who all unwearing.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
I never could abide Gilbert and Sullivan.
There's nothing wrong with Sullivan.
The Offenbach of England, isn't he, Arthur?
Irish, wasn't he?
Come on, Mother, the car's waiting.
We shall never all get into that Wolseley.
No, the girls are going down with Phyllis. We'll meet at the church.
Now, come along, Alice. Best foot forward. Come and see your great niece to the altar.
Stockbrokers. I don't think they even dined in my day. Probably looked in on Sunday for a glass of sherry.
Now, you must move with the times, Alice.
Golly, I bet Cousin Penny's nervous. I would be.
Oh, what tripe! I should be madly excited on my wedding day, but I shan't be the least bit nervous.
What will you be, Liz?
Relieved, I should think.
Well, I should be nervous, and I don't care who knows it.
I don't know about nervous, but I shall certainly be glad when today's over. I'm going round to the garage to get the car. You 3 better stay here in the dry. It looks like a spot of rain.
Poor Aunt Phil, she must hate weddings. I'd rather be married in a registry office anyway. We'll do away with all this fuss.
You can't mean that, Liz. Can she, Anne?
I shall certainly insist on the trimmings myself, but circumstances alter cases.
What kind of circumstances?
Oh, come on, Gasbag, you're as inquisitive as a 9-year-old.
Well, you two have been acting most peculiarly these holidays, as if we had secrets.
Rubbish.
We never used to have secrets, any of us.
Well, we haven't asked you to show us your last letter from Klaus von Heilig, have we? So stop twittering, Vicky, and let's get a move on. Only the bride is allowed to be late.
I don't like you two having secrets.
Well, who used to spend all her time up in the cedar tree?
Oh, that was different. Anyway, be horrid to get married in a registry office. Might as well get married in a post office.
Why not? Buy the license across the counter.
Oh,
well, there's the car. Come along, you two. The universal aunt is waiting. La 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 la.
goodness that's over.
Oh, did you not enjoy the wedding, Elizabeth?
No, it was all rather silly.
Oh, dear, dear, dear.
Hello, Nanny.
No, don't tell me you didn't enjoy yourself.
Oh, of course I did. Lots to eat. You know how partial I am to champagne. All the same, I'm feeling a bit deathly.
Oh, you darling. Are you not looking forward to going back to Munich tomorrow? Oh, dear. I thought you'd settled down there quite nicely.
Oh, yes, I have. The von Heinigs are darlings, especially Klaus. Oh, it's just a mood, I expect. The autumn. Listen to Anne. I'm not the only one with the blues.
Vicky, you're too young to have the blues.
No, I'm not.
But I thought you were quite keen on that nice German boy. What was his name again?
Klaus. Oh, I am. I'm not sure if it's reciprocated. Well, he never refers to that disastrous weekend in his letters. I'm a bit nervous about meeting him again.
Oh, rot. He'll have forgotten how ghastly it was. And in any case, it probably seemed much worse to us than to them. Oh, we'd built so much on it.
Well, there's not only that. There's the whole atmosphere out there. Well, I don't really understand it. Even the von Heinigs have started to blame the Jews for everything now, just like Mrs. Earnshaw did. Well, that can't be right, can it?
No, darling, it isn't.
I mean, you can blame a person, but not a whole race. It's like saying everyone with fair hair is good and everyone with dark hair is wicked. Don't you agree, Nanny?
Oh, yes. And you know, there was a time when the English people talked about the Scots in that same way. As a race of foreigners, can you imagine that?
I know.
Oh, people have always been beastly against the Jews. Well, ever since Moses.
Anyway, the Jews are great musicians. Mendelssohn and Fritz Kreisler. And all the best pianists. Schnabel, Rubinstein.
Oh, Vicky, darling, I shouldn't worry about it. You've got one last term to go, and then you'll be back home again.
You just put all that politics out of your wee head and enjoy it. Well, now I'll have to go and see about that trunk of yours.
All right, Nanny. Liz, you all right?
Yes, of course I'm all right. Why?
Well, I feel things. I'm not always told them because I'm the youngest, but I do feel them.
Vicky, darling.
You could tell me if you wanted to. But it doesn't matter. You've obviously told Anne, and she's jolly sensible and would say the right thing.
It's nothing. Nothing at all.
Well, I just wanted to say that, well, whatever it is, I'm on your side, and I want it to be right for you. Well, Munich is so far away, but I shall still be thinking of you. Do you believe anyone can know that you're thinking of them from so far away?
I think for sisters I haven't done so badly. And not you as well. Well, love letters are all very well up to a point, but it'd be a jolly sight better to see the chappie in flesh from time to time. Michael, you said it. He's always flying his wretched aeroplane, and every time he's invited up here, the answer's the same. Then by the next post, I get one of these. He writes jolly well, but they aren't the sort of things he'd say if he were here. He's obviously fond of you. Well, then why doesn't he want to see me? At least you see your chap. Shh. Well, you do. I know it's hopeless and all that, and you ought not to, but at least you get a bit of fun out of it. Fun. Hiding in a cold two-seater up on the common, or meeting at the Copper Kettle by carefully arranged accident. Miss Pringle could run a pretty line in blackmail if she chose. Well, I know it's not all that great, and I don't envy you at all, really. But you do see him. I shall have forgotten what Michael looks like soon, I suppose. What? No, nothing. Go on. No, it's nothing at all. I expect I've got the Catholic Church on my brain. Seem to see it down every dark alley. Michael's not married, Liz. I know that, idiot. Well, how do you get on with his parents? All right, I think. I've only met them once. Exactly. Go on, say it. Well, isn't it a bit odd that they don't invite you? You mean would they let him marry a non-Catholic? Oh, Surely they would if he loves me enough. Anyway, he's of age. And anyway, Anyway what? Well, I don't see it makes that much difference. I mean, I could always be converted. I don't know what you're saying. Why? It's not as if we're religious people or anything. You go on about it as if we're all cavaliers and roundheads, and you're supposed to be the clever one. I'm just conventional old Anne who rides in point to points and wants to be married in a church, even a Catholic church. But, Liz, in books they always say that. But what? Daddy would never allow it. I think you've diagnosed yourself right, Dr. Liz. You've got RCs on the brain. And the heart, worse luck.
Oh, no.
Where's everyone? I thought we were late.
Oh, Liz, well, your father and mother are in the kitchen.
It's chilly this evening. The nights are drawing in.
Yes. Liz, well, what are you going to do with yourself this autumn? I mean, staying at Larkfield would be a bit tame after a year at Oxford, won't it?
Well, I'm doing quite a lot of private study. And in any case... Grandpa, can I ask a favour of you?
If it's not too expensive.
It won't cost a penny. Would you back me up with Mummy and Daddy?
Back you up?
Yes, I want to go to London to study for my final MB. I've been offered a place and I think I should take it.
But I thought that you'd
yes,
promised...
Yes, I know I did. I promised I'd wait a year. But, well, a friend I have in the medical profession thinks that's bad. They think I shall have forgotten everything in a year.
Do you?
Well, no, not quite. It's a bit exaggerated. But it is a bit like leaving a dinner half-cooked.
Huh.
Or stopping a crossword in the middle.
Oh, now that is absolutely fatal. You see, you get in the swing of it, you begin to understand how the setter's mind works, and if you leave it for a week, well, might as well start all over again.
Yes, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah. Oh, you're cunning. So you've definitely decided to be a doctor?
Oh, I must do something, Grandpa. I'm just not the type of girl who could be content with running a home, like Anne or Mummy. Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I'm just not like that. I like the idea of being useful, outside one's own family circle. Well, useful to complete strangers.
Yes, Liz, yes, I understand that. Do you know, my dear, I think we're rather alike. You see, all my boys at Eton, they come as complete strangers, but when they go on out into the world, I like to think that I've been of some help to them, you know. Now, we're going to live in London with your Aunt Phyllis, I suppose.
Oh, no, I wouldn't want to impose on her. Well, there's a friend I had at Oxford doing the same course, and she's already written to me to ask if I'd share digs with her in Bloomsbury.
Ah, plans all settled, I see. Fait accompli.
It's what I want to do.
Well, Liz, who's going to pay for the digs?
Well, Daddy gives me a small allowance. It would just about cover.
So he could stop it, I suppose, if he didn't approve?
Yes. That's why I need an ally.
Ah. All right. I'll see what I can do. I promise. I'll have a word with them before I go.
Oh, Grandpa, thank you.
Ah.
What are you two cooking up?
Cooking up? Good gracious, we're not cooking up anything. Leave that to you and Mrs. Gates. No, we're concentrating on the crossword, aren't we? A young girl who knows her own mind. It's 9 letters, begins with an E.
She is frustrated. She's unhappy. We know that, of course. But she did promise.
Yes, but if there's no young man in the offing...
But there is, Oliver Horner. Well, you take my word for it, she won't have anything of Master Horner. He'll just have to stick in his thumb and pull out a plum.
He's such a nice, suitable young man.
Oh, good heavens. Right, Vicky moving house?
Oh, this is the last one, sir.
Well, I should hope so.
Well, it's all her summer things as well as her winter clothes, Arthur. You see, it may still be warm out there.
Well, I'll fetch the car round, sir, and load up. Thank you very much.
Are we going to be able to get this lot in at the station?
Oh, I've warned Ted, sir. He'll stand by and give me a hand.
Who's Ted?
The porter, miss. He's Mrs. Gates' sister's son-in-law, married the wife's niece. Yeah, well, he'll be standing by to give me a hand when we get to the station, sir.
There you are. Nepotism even on the GWR. To get back to Elizabeth, you'd better both make up your minds to it. She won't find a suitable husband on the hunt ball circuit. You're wasting your time. If you really want to marry her off, she's much more likely to find her soulmate tramping the hospital wards.
Phil, don't be ridiculous, because we are not trying to marry her off.
Oh, of course you are, Arthur. Don't deceive yourself. You and Helen, forgive me, can see only one recipe for the happy life, your own. And who shall blame you? We're not all cast in the same mould like lead soldiers. I'm just a little bit sick of this eternal matchmaking, as if we were still in the Edwardian era.
Well, Arthur can't afford to support the girls forever.
Well, heaven forbid that he should. Any girl worth her salt can take her place in a man's world today. Elizabeth will. Vicky will. And Anne will marry someone she meets out hunting and provide you with enough grandchildren to satisfy the most ravenous appetite. Well, I shall go to the kitchen garden and pick some spinach to take up with me tomorrow, as you said I might.
Gates could do that.
I'm not paralysed.
Well, Phyllis seems to have done my job for me, rather tactlessly, of course, but the main idea was sound.
Father, do you mean you think we should let Liz go to London?
Well, why not if she wants to be a doctor? I mean, what's the point in hanging about here?
You see, I'm not so certain that that's the only reason. I mean, I think she's doing it to prove something to herself or to somebody. I don't know. She's been so close to us lately.
Well, that's just a part of growing up.
All right, Charles. I mean, I see no point in increasing the girl's unhappiness.
Well said, Arthur. Well said.
What's this? A family conspiracy?
No, Alice, it's not a conspiracy. It is a conclave. Elizabeth wants to go to London to get her MB.
Good. I shall see something of her. Introduce her round a bit. Meet a few dashing young fellows.
Oh, don't let Phyllis hear that.
Well, now, who are these dashing young fellows you know, Mother?
Well, my friends have grandsons, haven't they? I shall give little tea parties for her at Gunter's.
The car's here, sir, for Miss Vicky.
All right, well, we better get some of this luggage in.
Oh, there you are, darling. It's time to be off, I'm afraid.
Yes, all right. Is it true Liz is going to study for her MB in London?
Yes, Liz is going to London. Have you said goodbye to her?
Yes, upstairs. And Nanny.
Mummy, I'm going with her to the station. Is that all right?
Yes, darling, that's all right.
Come along, Vicky. You'll miss your train.
Righto. Bye-bye, Granny.
Take care, darling.
I will. Grandpa.
Goodbye, darling. Bless you.
Bye-bye, Mummy.
Goodbye, darling.
Where's Aunt Phyllis?
She's in the garden, darling. I'll say goodbye for you.
All right.
Okay, station party ready?
Yes,
Now remember to write to Mummy.
I will.
I won't be long.
Are you driving your mother and Mr. Ashley up to London tomorrow?
Yes, Nanny, I am. I've actually persuaded Mother to risk her neck in my motor car. Mrs. Gates is going to make us a picnic, if we can find somewhere to stop on the way. Oh, in a lane or anything.
Well, you'll drive carefully then.
I always do.
Oh. Did the girl marry the flautist?
She couldn't. He had a perfectly good wife in Golders Green called Trixie. That was that.
Sorry to neglect you, Alice. Only Phyllis decided to have tea upstairs with Nanny and gossip. Excuse me. Hello, Winchley 8? Who is that calling? Oh, hello, Dr. Harrington. What can we do for you? None of us is ill at the moment, touch wood. Elizabeth, no, I'm afraid she's out at the moment, walking the dogs with Anne. What did you want her for? Pardon? Oh, well, I expect she's got that upstairs. Oh, just one moment, I'd better write down the title. Could you spell that for me, please? Yes. Yes. Right, well, I'll ask her to bring it in next time she goes into Albury. Will that do? Oh, actually, she'd better buy one of her own if she needs it, because she's decided to go to London to finish her MB. No, it was rather a sudden decision. And I think she's been building up to it for some time. It's rather exciting, don't you think? Yes, how are you keeping? Hello? Hello? Dr. Harrington? Hello? Oh, thank goodness, I thought we'd been cut off. Yes, well, I'll tell her you called. Goodbye.
What was all that about?
Oh, Dr. Harrington for Liz, about a book. Oh, there are the girls. Come on, you two, you're late.
The dogs are disgusting who delivered them to Mrs. Gates in the yard. Smoke thought he saw a rabbit. And before he could say Jack Buchanan, they were off up to their middles in that stinking ditch down by Marley Bottom.
Well, wash and tidy. Tea's all ready.
Oh, is there any afternoon post?
Yes, darling, but it's not for you, it's for Elizabeth.
Oh, thank you, Mummy.
Oh, and by the way, Dr. Harrington phoned to speak to you.
For me? How extraordinary.
Yes, he only wanted this book back. I'm afraid I can hardly pronounce the title.
Oh, yes.
No hurry, I think I said you'd drop it in sometime before you went back to London. Do hurry, you two girls, or your tea cakes will be quite cold.
All right.
Now, Alice, how about another cup of tea?
Thank you, dear. I haven't had any yet.
Oh, dear, you shouldn't have waited.
You know, with all due respect, Phyllis, I'm rather sorry I'm motoring up tomorrow.
Are you nervous?
Oh, good heavens, no. No, but I had planned to work out the exact speed of a dining car attendant advancing with the soup in the same direction as the train is going. So, rather an odd thought, you know. A waiter dashing through Reading at 80 miles an hour, carrying a tureen of mulligatawny. Oh.
Really, Charles?
Well. Ah.
Oh, there you are. Aren't you coming down? They're waiting for. What's the matter? Oh, Liz, you're shivering. What's happened? Is that letter from Brian? Tell Mummy I shan't be down for tea. A work, headache, anything. Well, Mummy's all right. What is it? Can't you tell me? Yes, of course I can tell you. It's this letter from Brian. That must be why he rang. Something very odd has happened. It's his wife. She was in a terrible motor accident. And she died yesterday in Wolverhampton General Hospital.
Dr. Harrington just rang again about that book he lent you. He seems to be getting strangely frantic about it.
Yes, I'll drop it into the surgery today. Is there any shopping I can do for you in Horbury?
No, I don't think so, darling. Awful bore to go all that way just to return a book.
Well, if he needs it.
He seems to have managed without it all somehow.
Well, some case must have come up that he wants to consult it for.
He sounds very unreasonable about it, I think. Couldn't Daddy take it?
No, look. I just feel like an outing. Do you mind?
Well, you do realise that Granny and Grandpa are leaving with Phyllis in her car in about half an hour.
Oh, are they?
Yes, so you better just wait until they've gone.
Yes, all right. Going to see him? Yes, I must, since Mummy spilled the beans about my going to London. You won't go to London now? I suppose not. I don't know. Are you meeting him at the Copper Kettle? There's nowhere else. How will he know? Oh, we have an arrangement, like the Secret Service. He always looks in there at 4 o'clock as he passes, and I always sit by the window. Sounds romantic. It's pathetic. So what will you do if he proposes? Don't know. I can't think straight. I really can't. I mean, can you imagine? Oh, to hell with it. No, go on. Well, how can a woman's death, miles away, suddenly make everything all right, when it was all wrong before? How can what Brian and I feel for each other be a sin one moment and bless the next? Well, I don't suppose I should think about it like that if it were me. What would you think then? I'd just think he could be mine now. All mine. That would be everything. It's what I meant the other day when I said I'd convert for Michael if necessary. I wouldn't let anything stop me. You want Brian. He wants you. Something made it impossible, now something's made it possible. QED. Well, it was as simple as that for me. There was something I could have done. Some sacrifice that would have made it possible. And for it to be in the hands of fate. And such a cruel fate as a woman's death. You didn't know her. But it soured everything. I don't think it should. If you love him. You're a splendid realist, Anne. Is that good or bad? Thanks for listening and thanks for the advice. Oh, I'm no use. You go and talk to Brian. Maybe he'll know his own mind. I know one thing. If you're still going to London, I'm not going on mooching about here on my own.
Anne, Liz, Granny and Grandpa are just leaving. Come down, would you?
There.
I've got it all in somehow.
Oh, my poor old Buick.
Loaded to the gullet.
It's going to be a terrible squash.
Will your tyres stand our weight, do you think? We don't want a puncture.
No, we don't. You can go in the back, Mother, darling, and Charles can come in the front with me.
Thank you, Phyllis. Yes, Mother, I put your jewel case on the seat beside you. You can watch it all the way to London and the lunch basket.
Sorry, we were gossiping.
Come and say goodbye to Granny and Grandpa. Come on.
Goodbye, Granny.
Goodbye, my darling.
Goodbye, Phyllis.
Granny. Goodbye, Liz. I hope to see something of you in London.
Yes, I expect so.
Good, if you're not too busy.
Bless you, Anne. Bless you.
Bye, Grandpa. Goodbye, Uncle.
Bye,
love. Are you coming to the
Bless
door?
you.
Have a comfortable journey.
Yes.
Thanks, Phyllis.
Not at all. You know, it's rather nice to have a doctor in the family. Cure all our ills free of charge. Dr. Elizabeth Bourne, FRCP. Sounds pretty good.
Yes.
Have a good journey.
I'm coming
Hold on tight when you go around the
I'll
corner.
ring you when you get to London. All right, darling Phyllis. Don't forget. Drive carefully. I promise to drive carefully. Bye-bye.
Oh, well, that's that.
They're in for a wet drive.
Poor Granny, she's terrified Aunt Phyllis is going to skid on the wet road.
She's squashed in that car like a sardine in a tin.
But I thought she got in with great dignity, you know. It's like a duchess sporting the tumbril en route for the guillotine.
Daddy, how morbid. Oh, can I borrow this week's field, please?
Yeah, I suppose so. Come along.
When are you going into Horbury?
Now, at once.
Got the book?
Damn.
Temper. And what are you going to do with yourself this afternoon?
Nothing much. I thought I'd go to my room and read and play my gramophone.
Don't you think you ought to exercise Tallulah?
I might later. Where's Mummy? She's gone through to the kitchen.
Is that the famous book?
Yes, my French dictionary. I've got to take something in as an alibi.
Good luck.
Why did you ring the house? We agreed never to do that.
To see if you got my letter. I couldn't wait. What's this your mother said about you going to London to get your MB?
Isn't it what you advised?
Well, a long time ago, that seems now.
Well, I thought it was better than a hopeless love affair. Get my mind into something.
Weren't you going to tell me?
I suppose so. I don't know.
Well, didn't you care what I felt?
Yes, of course I did. But it was all so hopeless. You said so yourself.
Darling, it isn't hopeless anymore. Elizabeth, Liz, I'm... thank you. I'm free.
Scones today?
No, thank you.
They're fresh baked. They look ever so nice.
No, thank you.
Not with cream and jam?
No, I couldn't.
I'm free, Liz.
Yes.
I never wished her dead, God knows. There's something hateful about...
Profiting from someone else's death. We must put it into words.
Yes.
Yes.
But we can't wish it undone.
No.
It's done.
Yes.
And I'm free. But we're free.
Yes, I suppose we are.
There's no suppose. When your wife is dead, even a Catholic is allowed to remarry.
That sounds so brutal.
I'm sorry, I can't help it. It makes me bitter too, but once a Catholic...
Oh, your wretched religion.
Liz.
I'm sorry. Let's not talk about it.
But we must.
When's the funeral?
Next Saturday.
You'll go, of course.
Would you rather I didn't?
Will her parents be there?
Yes.
Both your families.
Suppose. Look, we can't talk here.
Where else?
I've got an hour before evening surgery.
I'm not there.
Well, Dr. Cropper's away. We could talk in his study.
Well, what about the maid?
She's off today. I'll get the bill.
Liz! Where are you?
She's not back yet.
Oh.
Have a good ride.
Yes, and I'm soaked to the skin.
I should have a good hot bath.
I think I will.
Yes, you'd better.
I don't understand you today.
I'm trying to be very honest with myself and with you.
But we've dreamed and dreamed.
Yes, I think we have. Doctor's wife in a little country town. I wonder whether I'm cut out for that when I wake up. Whether either of us is when we both wake up.
Why not? I mean, now there's actually a chance.
Don't you think we'd both do better as toiling doctors in an industrial slum?
Well, possibly. Perhaps you're right, but we can go into all that.
We should have gone into it properly before.
But then there was no hope.
No, just dreams.
God, it makes you bitter to think that... But for one's religion...
I haven't gone into religion very deeply either. Obviously, I should have done. The good old C of E is something one wears lightly. One forgets that...
You don't blame a man for taking his religion seriously?
No. But I'd like to know which one of us would be your wife in heaven.
Now you're being simplistic.
Well, which?
Well, I don't imagine that heaven's a replica of Earth for a start. I mean, what's got into you, Liz? Nothing's changed, has it? We've always wished I was free to remarry, and now I am. I know the circumstances
I just never imagined stepping into a dead woman's shoes. That was never in the dream.
You know it wouldn't be like that.
Why wouldn't it?
Well, what other way could there possibly have been? There wasn't one.
There was one.
Oh?
If you really cared for me.
Well, what?
If you really loved me, You could have given it up and become a Protestant. What's good enough for most of us.
You don't know what you're asking. For a Catholic, that would be tantamount to self-damnation.
Really? And you want to link yourself forever to someone who's damned.
But it wouldn't be the same for you. You've always been a Protestant.
And always damned. A heretic. I don't know anymore, Brian. Honestly, I don't. If you'll excuse me, I'm late.
Please, wait a minute. I want to say something, please. I've handled this badly. It's because I love you. And love makes you bullheaded sometimes. Suddenly to see that the impossible was possible. I could have danced on that grave. Please don't go on. You're right, those aren't natural feelings, and maybe our natural feelings never had time to develop, always meeting secretly, hiding, lying. It's a bad way to begin. Please forgive me. I didn't want to appear crude or heartless, but I have. I've let my own need for you outrun all reason. I can see that. I'll go away. As soon as I can arrange it, I'll start looking for another practice. I won't make any secret of where I'm going. If in time you find that you want me as much as I want you, you'll find me. Nothing in heaven or earth could stop you.
Couldn't it?
What?
Something stopped you, Brian. Now I really must go. It was as if we were drinking tea across that poor woman's coffin.
What did he say?
Hardly remember. We couldn't talk in the copper kettle, so we went back to the surgery.
Didn't he propose?
Oh, Anne, you're as ghoulish as he was. Propose. He sort of took it for granted. Gave me the shivers.
Liz, I simply don't understand you. Why is it worse now she's dead than it was when she was alive?
It just is. I can't explain.
That was all right then, was it? Sneaking about with another woman's husband?
Anne.
Well, of course I know it wasn't like that, but I don't see why it should change. Except that it's now above board in anybody's eyes.
Not in mine.
Well, who's being unreasonable now? You know what I think?
What?
You won't like this.
I'm not liking any of it.
I don't think you really love him at all. I don't think you ever really loved him.
And how can you say that? That would mean I was... Well, that I was some sort of...
No, not deliberately. I think you thought you loved him.
But it would mean I was totally irresponsible and grasping and selfish.
Oh, Liz, you're Liz. I wish you'd stop putting yourself and everything else under a microscope. Sometimes I wish you'd never been to Oxford. You didn't make life so complicated in the old days.
Well, life wasn't so complicated then, was it? Life had hardly begun for any of us. We were just children.
I wish we still were.
What a mercy that wind's dropped.
Yes, she's riding at anchor now.
We've decided the house is Daddy's boat. And whenever he gets nostalgic for his naval past, he dons his old uniform and stands up in the attic, peering through his telescope.
What a pity Vicky isn't here to play something.
How about Anne's gramophone?
I don't think I have anything in the right mood somehow.
Not even that divine hutch?
Shall I, Liz?
No. It's nice and peaceful with the logs crackling.
What happened to Vicky's last letter?
Oh, it's down on the table beside you. It's slipped under Country Life.
No. Yes.
Was Dr. Harrington pleased to have his book back?
I don't know.
Perhaps you'll give our telephone a rest now.
Yes, I expect so.
Strange young man. Such reserve. Aubrey's grown quite attached to him. Funny, really, when you think how sad we all were when Cropper retired.
Anyone fancy a game of Bezique?
Oh, no takers, darling. Not unless you're terribly bored.
Bored? Heavens, why should I be? Far more exciting here than in London.
What's that?
Nothing, Daddy.
Oh, my goodness. You're up bright and early.
Been out for a walk.
Oh. Did you take the dogs?
No, they weren't awake.
Ah, they're getting old, like me.
Ah, it's a glorious morning.
Well, I never heard you getting up.
Oh, I didn't want to wake anybody.
So you've been on one of your thinking walks, eh?
Yes, Nanny, I have.
Oh, I remember the first time I heard you saying that. You were just a wee thing of 12. Your granny was visiting us, and you weren't here when she arrived. And when she asked you where you'd been, you said, "I've been on a thinking walk, Granny."
I expect Granny said, "Old-fashioned child."
Something like that. Well, I better take them up the tea before it gets cold. You know how the commander hates lukewarm tea. You awake?
Just about.
Your sister's been up and out for a walk since 6:30.
Goodness, what's the time?
Oh, it's just about 7:45. There you are. Here's a nice sweet cup of tea to waken you up.
Thank you, Nanny.
Now, what's this I hear about you going off to London?
Well, Mummy thought if Liz was away and Vicky not back until Christmas, I might like to spend a little time with Aunt Phyllis in London, see some plays and things.
Isn't Liz going to be in London?
I'm not sure now. I think I may have been wrong about London. Hasty. It was a mood I was going through.
Heavens, are you sure?
Yes.
You sure the mood might not come on again?
Not that particular mood. I'd still like to go away for a bit, if you don't mind. Just to go on getting things sorted out in my mind.
I see. Well, where would you like to go?
I thought to John T. in Wales for a few weeks, where I went at Easter.
Well, why not?
I know it's a bit of an upheaval for everybody. First I'm doing one thing and then another. It's horribly selfish of me.
Well, I must say Daddy will be a bit taken aback. He's made arrangements for your rent in London. And
gosh, he hasn't, has he?
Well, your father's not one to waste time once minds are made up. Steer her on course and keep her on course, he'd say.
Lord, I am a nuisance to you all.
Funnily enough, one has an illusion that one's children are going to be less bother once they reach years of maturity. But it doesn't seem so. Instead of cut knees and chicken pox, it's, well, plenty of other things.
I am sorry.
No. The cut knees healed in time, and so will the other things. So it's a spot of convalescence in Wales. That's the prescription, is it?
I think so.
Thinking walks and talking it over with Jonty.
You mustn't think I can't talk it over with you.
Oh, no, darling. That's quite all right. It's quite natural. Jonty's your own age.
Gosh, Mummy, one does make use of one's parents, doesn't one? It must be a jolly unrewarding thing to be a parent.
I've never thought it so, Liz. It's not necessary for me to pry into your mind. I wasn't always peeling the bandage off to see the knee was healing, was I?
Will you explain things to Daddy?
Yes, I'll try.
Would you think I ought?
No, I don't think so. Best leave it to me. He'll only get terribly confused. I might even pretend to him that I talked you into it.
You better back me up on that.
Oh, yes. I don't think I've ever properly realized how good you are at things.
It's nice to be appreciated by one's eldest.
I'll go and look up the trains to Wales.
And one for Anne, for London.
Ah, there we are. Are you missing them?
It's nice to have you to myself occasionally.
There's a noisy lot of little blighters, aren't there? It is quiet without them.
Will you still take out that mortgage?
Yes, might as well. Well, we need to spend a bit here, you know. I expect you'd like a new hat or something.
Darling, it's not worth taking out a mortgage for a new hat.
No. Something will crop up, you know. Nice to have a bit of liquid cash.
As long as it doesn't run away like liquid.
Oh, you know me. Old cautious.
Not so old.
Hey, you warming, huh? You know, I could have another go at that fire. Those logs are a bit green, aren't they?
No, I'm all right, thank you, darling. If I might just have a piece of the paper?
Yes. Which piece would you like?
Oh, any piece, it doesn't matter. As long as it's not the stock market reports, I don't think I can get very excited about those.
No, they make pretty grim reading these days, don't they? Well, it all does. Here, you can have the lot.
Not of you.
No. No, don't feel like reading.
Well, the day they put headlines on the front page of the Times, then we'll know the world's coming to an end. No, I don't feel like it either, really.
Far flung. Oh, the family, you know, the children. Oh, there's one in Wales, one in London, one in Germany. I wish I could see them at this moment. Fly on the wall.
Yes. No, I don't think we should, really. Much better not.
Oh, no. Don't want to interfere, just out to...
Yes, I know. It's hard to give them up. Anyway, it's not time yet. They'll be back, stomping all over the place. Still unmarried, still costing money. Still children, really.
Do you think so?
Babies.
Even Liz?
Biggest baby of them all.